This is Targeted Massachusetts Northeast Conference. We are signing in and starting our recording at 9:14 p.m. Eastern. And thank you very much. Go ahead, Ken.
Oh, that's all. I was just trying to give everybody a timeline, and then they didn't need no aircraft anymore, and I was complaining terribly. You know, I was in touch with the air traffic controller saying, who is constantly flying over me? You know, and they couldn't pick them up in the mountains. The guy would always fly low, so then about 2001, all that changed. Finally, the aircraft stopped. God, thank you, Jesus. I mean, it went on for 10 years. And but then, that's when the towers started going up, if I'm not mistaken. And I guess they didn't need their little aircraft system no more, or they had finished their project, being able to track me. And, and now they had the towers, or satellites or whatever. Gwen towers, whatever. They got so much stuff. But 2001, it started getting bad.
That's when most targets actually have started to really feel it.
Yeah.
Because the technology has gotten so much better. And if you look at it now, at 2021, it's ridiculous, the stuff that they have.
Yeah, now it's all about enslaving somebody and controlling the person, period, is what's going on now. It's physiologically trying to control a person's thoughts, moods, actions, future, past, present, whatever. Their life. It's enslavement. You remember the almond guy? He was one of the first to really combat this stuff. Came over here from Europe. His wife died of cancer. But anyway, he started the organization Christians Against Mental Slavery. He was very proactive, trying to get rid of this stuff. And even came over here and met some of the victims, I believe down in Texas, or some kind of a little get-together. And I'll think of his name later, but I don't know what's happened to him. But
John Allman?
Yeah, I think it was a John.
Okay,
Allman.
John Allman, I've been in touch with, actually.
Oh, from England, is he not?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, seemed to be a good fella, but he was out there on the front line for a long time trying to get rid of this stuff.
I believe he went back there. That was my take on the situation. He's disgusted with everybody.
Well,
he really is. He's disgusted with it because his vision on this whole thing, or his point of view, is that it really hasn't moved forward since then.
Well, no, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. He's not the only one. There's Alfred Weber, A Piece in Space, and I guess Cheryl with mind control things. Everybody's tried. Ed Light, who started the activism against this stuff with that mind control page, God bless him. There's 100 victims on there in 1999 or 2000. 100 victims already on there with their testimonies. And
right.
He ended up out in the desert in Nevada somewhere. I don't know what happened to him. So, there's been a lot of real heroes in the past, warriors, to break this out, and it's, of course, it's still going on because the perpetrators are so secretive. They got some sophisticated technology, and the United States government certainly doesn't address it. They won't talk about it. They're probably under control, evidently, all themselves. So it's a big deal, and it's very difficult to overcome. These people have been monitoring the human body a long time, man. And obviously they've been working towards this goal, of controlling what they consider the opposition or somebody inferior to their culture, evidently. Best way I can put it.
I think we've come leaps and bounds since then, because we have gotten the word all over the world. We've got Ella's billboards. And
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, a new victim can come right into a wealth of information now and not be thrown in the slammer or in jail or take drugs or kill themselves because they find out this target is external, and it's only by the activism of many wonderful people in the past who have suffered, to get this information out that they should really thank. I mean, I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad, but I mean that's where it's been, and a lot of new people, they come into the labors of a lot of other people, to help save them and give them the truth. So say, hey, it's not your fault, you're not doing this to you, it's somebody externally is doing this to you. Keep your faith, your integrity, confidence, get your spiritual life together and get out and fight like hell to try to stop it. I mean, that's the prescription, and we've done a lot of work. Everybody's trying. I mean, I believe they are in their own way.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Karen Dawson. I just caught her. How you doing, Karen?
Hi, Frank. Hi, Frank. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. How are you?
Hanging in there.
Oh.
No, I'm fine. They're just playing head games now, and that's all they're doing. Head games and these little light, very loud, very high frequency kicks at my eardrum, and it's annoying. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't bother me.
As far as what, one thing. Is it okay if I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
It's a slightly off topic, but as far as the high-pitched noises that I'm having, I have a high-pitched one and then I have a lower-toned one, and they're simultaneously pretty much 24/7. I don't really know how to interpret those, and I don't know what they are. Do you know if they're sonic or microwave, or what are they?
Okay, they could be coming from a number of different areas. They could be coming from just in general a radio wave source, but there is quantum communication now, and it could be coming from that. And if it is, well, we are in trouble, because the only way to defeat quantum communication is with a better computer than the one that created it. So that could be a problem.
Oh. Okay. Is it harmful, or what kind of harm does it do? Do you know?
The quantum communication would be the delivery method for this, or for these attacks. It's what they're using to communicate with submarines. From what I see over the years, the methods of communication with submarines seem to parallel the methods interpreted as being used to target us.
Okay.
But I hope it's not quantum communication, because that is, like I say, something we can't deal with. And the other thing is scalar waves. Scalar waves are something that can go through anything. That's why people that go into a Faraday cage are in trouble, because they've spent all this money on the Faraday cage and they are still being targeted. And they think, okay, well, I didn't do a good enough job. So they start reinforcing their own technology, looking for and they don't seem to be able to find anything. But I haven't found or gone anywhere that would serve to stop this. Now, okay. I also have a belief that the V2K and the attacks don't necessarily come from the same source. Because I know I have tried a number of things that should have done something. I had a small office/lab And I tried a number of different things, including Tesla coils, you name it. And I didn't find anything because I thought that the V2K was coupled with the attacks. And I'm not saying that it isn't, but I had the feeling that I don't believe it is, and I still have that feeling. I think that they're separate, and that's how they prove to discredit your devices or your countermeasures. What you have to really actively watch, and I have some notes that I have to go back and peruse through, and that's, okay, were there any attacks during the testing of these countermeasures, or was it just V2K that was there? And I know there are a lot of you who do not get V2K, but they get attacks, so you have one thing to look at. So when somebody who is just receiving attacks finds something that attenuates it or stops it altogether, that's somebody we want to listen to right away.
Right.
Does that basically answer your question?
Yes, a little bit. I'm not very techy, so I'll have to look some of these things up.
Okay. Okay, Nancy, would you like to speak? You're up in the active area. Well, she was.
Oh, no. Hope you're doing well, Frank. I'm glad to be on your call.
Oh, thank you so much, and it was a great pleasure having you here. And we've got Kitching up in the active area. Would you like to speak?
Nope, I just forgot to turn my mic off.
Oh, okay, we had a big exhale from Anonymous. Richmond, California. Do you have anything you want to say? Because I always look to someone from Richmond, California, because that's where they passed an ordinance, what we'll call it, or a law against this targeting, and that's also the town which hosted 2 FBI agents that were listening to TIs and listening to TI's questions concerning targeting. Did you have anything you'd like to say? Okay, I guess not.
Frank, are you talking to me? I'm usually the one with the Richmond, California phone.
Yes. That
this is Jade. Hi. Okay. Yeah, I never really got in touch with the city board, which are the people who I think were holding those meetings in regards to the directed energy weapons. And I didn't get a hold of Amy either yet, and I wanted to. So I really don't know what the status is, but I can tell you that when I was living there, I was feeling a lot of electrical static in my body, and it was very uncomfortable. So they had put, I don't know who did it, but there were satellite dishes all around my apartment. There were like 5 of them, like right on top of me. So if they're not allowed to actually hit us with weapons, they find a way around it.
Okay, you talking
about... So that was my experience.
Dish network type?
Yes.
Yeah, those are there for Dish Network. I don't think you're going to really see any problems from them. They are to receive and not to send. There would be a whole different transponder setup. It would be,
okay.
The
targeting was very heavy there. As far as gang stalking, there were helicopters that were right outside the window. So, I mean, everything, all the bells and whistles were going on, but I don't know if they are actually able to hit us regardless of whatever laws are going on there. But I definitely felt electricity hitting my body. So, but, I left just a couple months after I had found out that I was a TI, because I found out in April, and I moved out around August. So I only had a few months to really wrap my head around what was going on and get an idea of what I was supposed to be feeling in my body and, kind of get used to the idea of being hit with directed energy weapons. So I was kind of all new to it at that point. But now I have moved, and it's definitely, I've moved out of county, out of Richmond, and I'm definitely getting hit full force. So it has not improved.
Okay, what I will say about laws, you can go to court and you can win your case, okay? You can go to court with a class action suit. You can win your case, but it doesn't mean your targeting is going to stop, okay? If you win your case, you're going to get some money so that you can further fight your targeting. But we have a gentleman some years back now whose case was settled out of court by the federal government, yet he was still targeted. And I have to check, but I think that he had a heart attack recently or passed away recently. I'm not sure about that. So there are a lot of different things that can affect the targeting. From one target to another, to me, it feels like we are in a global field, if you will, and that we are the only ones that are able to pick it up. That's what it feels like sometimes. And because it doesn't matter where you go, it's always there. So we have to discuss this at length to find out, okay, where is this coming from? Is it all around us? Are we the only ones that can hear this because of certain body chemistry, let's say? Are we the only ones? Or are we individually targeted by, we'll say, a satellite with millions of nodes on it? Hard to say. But it almost feels like this is blanketing the Earth, and that we are the radio antennas, perhaps the only radio antennas, that are picking it up. Something to consider. Go ahead.
I don't know, Frank. Whenever I go somewhere, they scan me. I can feel the scanning coming across me. That picks me up. Where I'm at. If I'm sitting on a bench, even if there's 10 people in the room, suddenly I can just feel the energy come across me, and then it's like got me and hitting my teeth, or zip, I can. So in that sense, yeah, it goes across everybody, but possibly, I give off a unique, rhythm, just like Mrs. Daisy Jones would. She's got her own unique rhythm, and maybe that's how they pick it up. I don't know, but what I'm saying is, I think everybody, can be in the area of the scanning, but if they're looking for a particular biorhythm, maybe of somebody, who's got peace, and love in their mind or whatever, or maybe somebody who's got violence in their mind. That's my opinion, is that they can get that. They can figure it, the technology can can get that from a remote distance. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does.
And naturally, they want to bother the peaceful person. Evidently, they obviously consider a peaceful, righteous person a threat to their slavery mentality and depraved mindset, to say it mildly.
And we know that it does blanket, at least this country anyway, because we have targets from California all the way to Maine. We have targets in Canada. So that covers...
Well, you can feel it. I mean, I can feel it. It's like you can feel that solar wind or artificial solar wind just going I mean, that's not an individual type deal. I mean, that's everywhere. That doesn't never seem to change anymore. A constant pressure. It's constant. And I mean, that never used to happen. There was none of that whatever kind of energy it is in the wind, in the atmosphere like that. But it's all the time now. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's stronger.
What you just described is an attack that's taking shape. That's what that means to me. When I feel in a certain area this energy, if you will, or this... Actually, it's a feeling from my own body. If it's not pain, it's awareness of that area.
Yeah.
Shoulder or something.
I still say it's coming from nuclear power, nuclear generators. They harvest that energy. And I was kind of tipped off one day. I met this woman, real nice lady, and we got in some conversation and talked. I've mentioned this before. How she talked about she went into the basement where her friend was at a nuclear power plant. He was a maintenance guy, and she took a wrong exit and ended up downstairs. And over the top of that entrance door was a sign that says CIA do not enter, restricted personnel only. So I don't know if that's a connection with the nuclear power deal, but it's obviously some high-powered energy that's just kind of in this atmosphere constantly, and it does fluctuate, and I'm not so sure anybody gets away from that. It seems to blanket the whole nation, like you're saying. It does lessen, and when the chemtrails come by, it's worse. I mean, the targeting, the subliminal crap gets real bad when the chemtrails are mixed with this artificial solar wind. Or scattered radar or whatever the hell it is. But it just never seems to stop.
Yeah, many people can be in a certain area and one person is getting targeted and the other is not. So it leaves room for a lot of research, more research.
I don't know, Frank. You ever seen a person that's not getting targeted? I mean, you remember the old days, you walked calmly, you get out of your car, say you parked going to the store. You park your car in the parking lot. You don't have to pull in 3 times. You park it very calmly. You gather your stuff. You get out of the car. You lock your door, but you do it very calmly. And you take a look at anybody in the parking lot anymore trying to get in and out of their car, or loading stuff up. They're hurried. They're forgetting stuff. They got to go back for a second. They bump into something. And that tells me, there's a lot of manipulation of the electric magnetic fields going on, and nobody's can be calm, and not without any misfortune or accidents or whatever, because it's making confusion and equilibrium problems, all that stuff. I mean, that's my opinion. But you look one day and observe, and everybody will stop. Oh, do I have my keys? Oh, And I just think it's affecting everybody. But some of us are, got sensitivity because we got implants or, they drug and all that stuff. So what do you think about that? I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think you're zeroing in on something there that we have to look at. But we have to get groups together that will research.
Well, here's the thought I got in my mind. I had somebody harassing me in a mountain town in North Carolina. And I thought, who in the hell is this? And I was sitting at the grocery store parking lot one day, just taking my time like I do. And it's amazing what you see when you just sit and take your time, and you're not in a hurry, because suddenly it seemed like the perf's coming out of nowhere. But anyway, so 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 foreigners got out of a vehicle and walked just as calmly, slowly, toward the store. They look Middle Eastern to me. Walked calmly toward the store, and the contrast between those people and all the other people in the parking lot, there weren't many, but what I'm getting at, it was so evident to me, and I thought, why are they just so calm? Why, what is it? And but I always think about, I'd never forget that scene is, nothing was bothering them guys. They were probably middle 20s, early 30s, and they were there for a reason. Might have been me, but anyway. But I noticed a big contrast. I thought, they can't be targeted, And then I look at all the other people, like 5 or 6 other people in the parking lot, just hurriedly, walking to their car, blah blah blah. But not these guys. I mean, slow, like there was no care in the world, And I don't think that was wholly a psychologically cultural type deal going on. I think they were not being targeted. I'm just throwing out some, my history and what I've seen, and I just never forgot that scene there.
Yeah, you have to. Next time you're at a meeting and everyone's sitting down at the table, ask who is targeted. Pass out some 20-cent stopwatches, and when your targeting starts, or when you're feeling it, stop the watch, and then compare watches in like 5 minutes. That's something that I'd be interested in doing. I need some statistics to work with. I need information, data, so that we can start putting things together.
That incident happened probably about 20 years ago, so, things are much more different nowadays with all these towers up in the air. It's bound to bother everybody's nervous system. It has to. The human body just can't withstand this without acting adversely with all this pressure from all these antenna emanations.
Well, I agree 100%. I just went around and muted people that were not speaking. It's not because you did anything wrong. Go ahead, Deb.
I just wanted to let you know I'm here, and I can't hardly hear that man. And it sounds like he's really saying some interesting things, but I can barely hear him. Okay,
Ken, can you turn up a little bit?
Well, no, I'm just talking on a landline, but I'm about finished anyway. Y'all go ahead and talk. Appreciate your call.
He says that you have a lot of interesting things to say, and you do.
Well, yeah, I've had to discern what's going on with me because of, being targeted, and someone trying to kill me. So, I've always asked for discernment and wisdom about what to do. And so God showed me. He'd show me every time. And anyway, I'm still here for some reason. I keep writing my devotional books. But so I don't know what else. I'm just barely hanging on. Every day I have to do something to try and, alleviate this stuff. Either decrease magnetic fields or whatever, increase shielding every day. And they just continually on me. airplanes, satellites. So, I mean, I don't come on and talk about it much, but every day, I mean, I'm always under pressure with it. Have been. There's no golden answer to it. I just kind of, I guess the best way to describe this is to adapt to everything they do, be active, and try to do something different and stop it. And that's the best advice I can give anybody. Do something.
Joe,
But
I don't know what you're doing, Joe, but it's not good. *6 to unmute if you'd like to speak. I just went around muting everybody because you're chewing up the bandwidth if you're unmuted and you're not talking. Deborah, did you want to speak?
I will as soon as I chew up my dinner.
Okay. That's not... Okay, would someone else like to step up and grab the mic? We did have a guest that was going to appear, but he couldn't make it. So we are having an open mic Wednesday night. Okay. Well, there are a number of different things that we can discuss. And as long as we stay away from the COVID topic, because it really does a number on your YouTube account if you get into it. Because anything that the government does not want to hear, you will be cited for. That's the way it is. But I've heard a lot of things, and I'm sure that you have too, that you'd like to talk about. And we can talk about them as soon as the tape stops. Then you are welcome to. Go ahead, Deb.
Hi, everybody. I was really enjoying what that gentleman was saying, but I got on about 8:30, so I didn't hear him in the beginning. What is his name? Did he give his name? Oh, anyway, if you're still there, I have a question. How long have you been targeted, and when did you first notice you were targeted?
That would be Ken.
Ken?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I got targeted when I was 12 years old. I woke up in the morning, and my ear hurt terribly. That was around 1965. And they had it all planned because my mother had left home and gone up 100 miles north to get married. So I was home alone, and they knew it. And I woke up all god-awful pulsing in my ear. And obviously they injected something in my ear because the next 6, 8, 10, 12 years of my life, I went straight downhill. I went from an outstanding student in what was that, 5th or 6th grade, and everything. I was suddenly isolated, no friends, and anyway, so eventually a lot of that wore off, whatever was in my ear, and then I started, getting my thoughts back, and then I guess in my early 20s, I went in the Army, did my time there, kind of got my life together, and then I started finding myself in my middle 20s and got some peace. I had complete peace. And then they really came after me. Of course, I didn't know it at the time, what exactly was going on. I was still trying to figure it out. And so they had actually manipulated my marriage when I was 22 years old. I had no idea. But I guess when I was about 30, they came after me and just destroyed everything. My health, my marriage, my home, my job, all in a matter of about 2 months. And I mean, I just remember sitting in a motel room, sick, or very sick, and thinking, what's going on? This isn't just a average divorce. This isn't normal, you know. So I still couldn't figure it out. But I was very sick, and then finally I got in a fighting mode, and started fighting back. Just, you know, everything, whatever was in front of me, lawyers, whatever, you know. So to get on with it, I escaped their plan, kind of escaped a lot of their targeting. I had to leave Virginia, okay? So when I arrived in North Carolina to my mother's home on the reservation, I kept trying to figure it out. I thought, what in the hell just happened to me for the last 3 or 4 years? And then I started putting some of it together, because this plane would keep flying over me as I was in Mom's house, way back in the mountains. And I thought, what the hell is this? You know, it's like these people have followed me, you know, all the way to here for why? So anyway, finally, I kept searching for answers. I started getting my health back, got me another job, and of course, my spiritual life was already in order. So I went to church, kept going to church, and you know, getting my strength back. Took me about a year. So anyway, I started searching for answers, because then I had people following me, you know, like in late model black sedan type deals, you know. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I thought, what do these people want with me? I mean, I don't have no nuclear secrets. And so I started searching for answers, you know, and the first victim I came across was a guy named D in California. I got his name out of a magazine, and I was like, thank God, you know, there's somebody, you know, else in the world that's going through this. And I guess that would have been 1990, 91, maybe 92, somewhere in there. And so that just confirmed my fears that somebody was stalking, trying to, you know, drive me nuts, kill me, drug me, you know, abuse me, whatever. I mean, it never stopped. And but D answered a lot of questions for me. We communicated by letter, and you know, he gave me some tips on using black plastic, and I gave him tips, and it was like a godsend for us to talk. So I'm trying to move on with the story a little bit, because I could take all night. But anyway, so I gained more and more knowledge about this stuff, you know, and I'm still trying to put it all together about the history of my life. And so I guess it was about 98, 99, maybe 2000. And that's when the internet came along, and a bunch of us started on the Yahoo Mind Control forums talking about this stuff and finding each other. And then we're arguing, well, you know, we're implanted or we're not implanted. And then this, you know, God bless him, that former DEA agent out of Charles Schlund out of Arizona, he knew about this stuff pretty good. He said, you guys are implanted, you know, and some will say, oh, no, we don't. And I'm thinking, yeah, you know, I am. I've got to be, you know, because then when I started figuring it all out, then they really came after me again, and that's when they got to me when I was sleeping and shoved something back up underneath my head on the right side of my head, and I ain't really never been the sense since. You know, they got to me covertly, you know, after I'd driven all night. That was a breaker there when I started a petition to fight this crap. So to answer your question, that's when they really started targeting me, when I started putting all the pieces together, bringing all the victims together, which a lot of us came together in 2004. Yeah, 2004. And a lot of us came together and started talking and figuring out, hey, this is MK Ultra program the CIA is doing, trying to enslave us, use us as sex slaves and drug us, and all the facets of the program, which is stipulated in the documents by the Inspector General in his report. Mr. Ehrman, I believe, is the man. So anyway, my targeting has never really subsided. I mean, I guess their intent was to just, once they did this to me in 2004, I mean, this is supposed to put me away, right? So, because, I mean, I woke up and my whole right side was paralyzed, I mean, I couldn't walk. And I knew they had got to me bad. And then my house burned down. It was one thing after another because I was just bringing a lot of people together, hearing a lot of torture stories. It was awful, but it was just good for us to talk, a lot of us to talk. So my targeting, I mean, it just got worse and worse and worse. And then I ended up here in South Carolina, and after my house burned up, then of course my wife left, bless her. I mean, I didn't blame her for leaving, to go back to her sister. It was just so bad. And so I just wound my way here because my mom died, bless her heart. She was a victim. So right up to her death, they bothered her. And after she died, I wanted to go back to the coast. So it's never stopped. I mean, these people have terrorized me, basically since I was around 31 or 32, 33. I mean, the targeting when I was 12 to when I was about 20, I mean, it wasn't this bad. It wasn't the killing type of stuff. I was just being hit with music. And but I dealt with it. I thought, well, this is just the way life is, but now I know that wasn't right. So it's been a long haul, but fortunately I had a few years of peace back there when I was about 29, 30. And, found Jesus, went to church, taught Sunday school, and, I was a regular saint. And that bothered the hell out of these people. But when I started filing petitions in the state Supreme Court, that they drove me out of Virginia. I mean, that's when the helicopter started, following me to the state line. And, I mean, they just ran me out of the state for, blowing the whistle on all corruptness and crap and all the stalking and all the craziness. So it's been a long haul, and I still get targeted. It doesn't seem to be as bad the last couple of years. I mean, after their last killing attempt 7 years ago, when they sent this black crap up into my optical nerve area and about killed me, now it's they tried when they found they couldn't steal my retirement. I mean, they were all after my retirement at 62. That's when they tried to kill me, right before I retired. Again, they tried to kill me. And then it's like, well, we can't get that because, I fought for that. They tried, but I went to federal court and I got my retirement. So that was the big deal. Then it was like everything, a lot quit. Just quit. Well, I mean, but hell, I mean, I'm in a mess. I mean, they got these implants all over my body. Black stuff's coming out of my eyebrows, my ears, and I'm just like, and I'm ready to go on. I mean, I've had enough, but I'm still here, and I'm still writing my devotions, and they still bother me, but it's not near like it was 7, 8, 5, 4, 5, 20, 30 years ago. God, Jesus. So that's my story in a nutshell. And it's just awful, and I just pray these people are found, put away, their systems are bombed or eliminated, and that all the victims get compensation, and for either injuries, wrongful deaths, or being afflicted, unnecessarily, oppressed, coerced mentally, and that's what this system is doing. It's enslavement. And I'm just doing everything I can to expose it spiritually in my devotions, which is what the best way I find to address these idiots, and try to get some justice, and get them off people and, establish some righteousness. So that's the best way I can.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Hi. My name's Kevin.
Good evening.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, yeah, I was just wondering, a friend of mine actually gave me some information about the House of Representatives bill that was actually passed back in 2017. It's called H.R. 193. And I was just wondering, maybe if we can get like a couple people to actually go through this bill. Basically, it's stating that the United States like totally withdrew from the United Nations, and we have Neil Meltzer, working on the case for cyber torture and etc. Is there some way we can have like a couple people go through the HR bill 193 and see if it like exempts people in the United States from getting actual assistance from the United Nations, because that could be an issue. They're saying they're not, the United States is not being held liable for anything that the United Nations does. Then what Neil Meltzer is actually doing, like, he might not have any kind of jurisdiction, inside of our country. And that's like a big concern of mine. So I don't know if that, I just wanted to put that out there. Maybe we can get like a couple people just to examine the bill and see if like we're actually affected by not being part of the United Nations anymore, because it's the it's the UN that is looking into this stuff. But from what I'm seeing in the repeal of the actual contract from the United Nations, like, they might not have any jurisdiction inside of the United States, from what I'm seeing. So it would be nice to have maybe like 2 or 3 people maybe get together and just examine the actual bill. Like, that would be like a really good thing to do. I'm not sure if you guys knew that the United States actually withdrew January 3rd, 2017 from the United States or from the United Nations, and it would be good to have, maybe like a couple people actually go through it and see if, what Neil Meltzer is doing, if he can still help us out, just because of the bill that they put out in 2017.
Hey, Kevin.
Weigh in on this. Hi, Kevin.
I could have swore. I'm sorry.
This is Vanetta. I'd like to weigh in on this also, okay? Because I'm aware of when we withdrew in 2017 and the ramifications of that withdrawal, because we were looking at going to the UN, the TIs at that time. The United States, I'm sorry, I don't need to cut you off. I just want to go straight to the heart. The United States, okay, Anthony Blinkenship, the Secretary of State, has already announced that we are rejoining the UN Human Rights Council. So that's null and void. So that gives us the right. That's why Neil Meltzer is coming to us, the special rapporteur. It's coming to us with the anticipation that the United States had already put out there back in January. That's why I came back to the TI community, that they have every intention of rejoining the UN Council. That will happen in October of this year, that they will rejoin when the UN Human Rights Council reconvenes in October, okay? So that means that this UN survey that we have posted on the Targeted Massachusetts and Citizens Against Harmful Technology that Neil Meltzer specifically sent to the United States, because he's aware something's going on. So he needs documentation. So I'm not going to review the HR bill, because the Secretary of State has already, now that's your choice if you want to do that, but I don't send my will, okay? I only got 7 brain cells left because they just about burn everything else out. But it's very clear, and I heard the announcement made, and that's when I contacted Frank at that point that I was coming back in. So, yes, they will have jurisdiction over us, and not only over us, but also this whole thing about Julian Assange, because that will give him a foot in the door, his attorney, yes, about Assange, because he's not familiar with that, what's going on with him. And they're still trying to bring this guy back to prosecute him, and he didn't do anything. He's an investigator. He didn't do anything. He just posted information. Okay? He didn't kill any people. Yeah.
Excuse me, just for 1 second. H.R. 204 of the 116th Congress, 2019 through 2020, introduced an American Sovereignty Restoration Act. Okay? I think that is the beginning. It's to the UN and all affiliated bodies. It also U.S. Oh, boy.
Well, it was actually the American Sovereignty Restoration Act was of 2017.
But it hasn't been. So has that bill been passed? It's just a bill sitting in Congress.
Okay,
it hasn't been passed.
It's been passed, and basically what they're saying inside of this bill is the United States can't be held accountable for anything that the actual United Nations does. And that's a big concern for me because, I mean, like, whatever Neil Meltzer is actually doing, like, the United States can actually just blow them off and say, hey, you know, we were part of your organization for so long, and we pumped in a ton of money to the United Nations, and we're no longer responsible for anything, and we can't be held accountable for anything. That's what the bill is actually saying. So basically, they just totally withdrew. I thought it was just the Human Rights Council, but after actually, further looking at the documentation, it's saying that the United States can't be held accountable to the United Nations at all. And
okay. I have a question. I understand that because you said that, and I'm not trying to be rude because I'm trying to get off the call. I've been on calls ever since 6:30 this evening. If that's the case, then I'm going to put it out here theoretically. So why would Neil Meltzer approach us with this survey if they do not have jurisdiction? Why would he do that? I don't see him as a person spinning his wheels.
They don't have any jurisdiction inside of the United States. I'll tell you that much right now. They have the United Nations had a property, in court, and it basically states this in the bill that everything is basically null and void, and the United States is no longer like committed to the United Nations, and that's a huge issue for our community. And
yes, it is. I'm aware of that. Yeah.
With them withdrawing from everything and saying, hey, we're not paying any money, we're not doing anything. The property that you guys obtained in New York, you guys are 100% responsible for financing that. I mean, you go through the whole entire bill and you look at it like just line by line by line, like United States basically said, who cares about human rights now? Like, that's basically what our country...
Okay, but I understand what you're saying, but my question is, because it must be some breathing space in there somewhere between the lines, because why would he approach us, the Special Rapporteur on torture, if they have no jurisdiction? And why would Anthony Blankenship, something else is going on here, Anthony Blankenship rejoined the UN Human Rights Council. if they have no
Ma'am,
jurisdiction.
would you turn your phone down, please?
I'm sorry.
It's really loud.
All right, so
That's okay. It's really loud.
I'm sorry. I'm turning it down. I'm sorry. I was on another call. I'm on speaker. I'll take it off. Hold on. Okay.
I'm going to respond to what you said. In the beginning, I came out and said that basically this bill was like a loophole, so they could actually, do this to people. So if they're not held accountable, it's a loophole for. I'm under the assumption it's an arms race. So I mean they're targeting people. It's an arms race, and this was the loophole that Congress set forth. They withdrew from the United Nations, and they were we've been part of the United Nations since about 1945.
Since the inception of the United Nations. We were part of the inception of the United Nations after World War II.
Right.
We were one of the ones who created it.
It was in the Act of 1945, and we withdrew in 2017, which that was not on mainstream media. Like, if you watch
yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
They don't.
The withdrawal was on mainstream media. Yes, it was.
I didn't hear anything.
I heard you say that we've withdrawn several times. Okay, so that fact is poignantly clear.
So it's basically just
my understanding that the Biden administration has been doing a lot of work towards re-signing with the UN. I thought that.
I think that's our key. If they do that, because then this all comes to an end. Because withdrawing from that was huge, because the United States is not held accountable for anything, and we're the most powerful nation in the world, and they think that they can do anything to anybody inside of
that's not it. The United States claims that we have no torture within the borders of the United States. We have no human trafficking within the borders of the United States. And
we all know that.
I know, Kevin.
We all know that's 100% bullshit. We all know that.
I know. We all know that. We all know what's happening. This is going to be simple. Just answer your questions, your questionnaire, if you feel that you want to spend the time. Have you answered yours yet, Kevin?
I had problems actually accessing the form. And
okay, I sent them out. I can put the link in the chat if you would like.
All right, that's fine. But I mean, like, since I get cyber harassed and techno torture and everything like that, they can just shut it down like whenever they want. So, like, I can.
Frank, they blocked me too.
I can send somebody an email and they might not get it. I can reach out to my Congress people and they won't respond. I can reach out to the governor. I can reach out to the president, and it's just they just shut your shit down like right there. Like, I mean, this is some serious stuff. Like, we're talking about communication, and what they do is they tend to actually break down your communication. Just it's part of the program. So they.
I understand, Kevin. I don't mean to cut you off. I understand. I get email snacks. This is Vanetta, and I'm not on speaker anymore. I get email snacks. I understand that. My browser was paralyzed, and Frank had to send me the form by email because I couldn't get in to Target in Massachusetts. They wouldn't let me in. And but what my question is that was never answered, because it must be a catch. I hear what you're saying. I understand. That was passed under the Trump administration. As Frank said, and I want to reiterate, and this is something that people can think about themselves, because it's also a point of view that the Biden administration is coming back into the UN, and they're rejoining the UN Human Rights Council, and they can maybe looking at rescinding that bill. So I don't want to destroy everybody's hope. That's what I'm saying. And let me finish, because I let you finish, okay? And also that Neil Meltzer would not waste his time. This form came after Anthony Blinkenship, the Secretary of State, made that announcement in the December, beginning of January. So how do we not know if some type of ongoing negotiation behind closed doors, even though the United States says there's no torture going on? But for the United States, this is also diplomacy to receive the standing where we can speak on anything about anybody else. We have to come clean on our own situation, okay? Because it's too many arrows pointing back to the United States, which even though China, everybody has the technology, I believe the targeting started and came out of the U.S. That we are the epicenter. We started, and we got other nations to sign on to it. And yes, China took it and ran with it like a mad dog and turned it on their people. But we started it. And we have a history of targeting specifically in the United States, of targeting different populations. And this has been going on for some time, and it's been documented. So that's why from my point of view, like Frank said, you can fill it out or not fill it out, okay? But from my point of view, that the UN is very well aware of the United States' history of targeting people, specifically minorities. They put the Japanese in concentration camps during World War II, although it was shown that the Japanese Americans were completely loyal. They have the Tuskegee experiment. Okay, they targeted people. They're also about the sterilization. Eugenics came out of Virginia. The whole thing about the Nazi eugenics, they got it from the United States. The specific targeting of different minority populations in the United States, Native Americans, okay, the blacks, okay, the Chinese Americans, Asian Americans, it's a history here. And they're aware of that history, even though they say this is not being done. The history of the United States for targeting different populations and targeting different areas, what we call environmental targeting, environmental poisoning, where they have targeted different areas, low income or people of color. In the United States, I can specifically address what happened in Jacksonville, Florida. That I was in this borderline community of low income and whites, low income, lower middle class whites and Latinos, and every day methane gas. Now I used to work for poison control, so I know, I'm aware of what methane gas, inhaling it. They would dump it into the sewers, and you could smell it coming out. Now I got my job, and I was working from home then, insurance company, to move me, okay, from that apartment complex because of that methane gas dumping. United States has a history of environmental targeting of low income, and they won a case in North Carolina on some of that targeting of different farmlands because of, I'm trying to remember the case, environmental justice, whereas they were polluting the farmlands with pig feces from these big corporate farms, and they won. So the United States has a documented history of targeting. And why would Neil, and I'm putting that out there as a rhetorical question, why would he do that? You go ahead.
Excuse me.
Like I said,
Kevin, I've just put the link in the chat. It says UN questionnaire and instructional. So it's in the chat if you want to use it. Go ahead.
All right, so yeah, like basically all I wanted to reiterate, like I just want to sum this up real quick. You know, we have this bill that basically takes us out of the United Nations, and we're not held, like the United Nations cannot hold us accountable.
Kevin, you said
anything. Yeah, I'm just reiterating it. I just want to sum it up real quick. So I mean that's about it. It's like the Congress just passed like a regulation in 2017 just to make it a loophole. So like all this targeting stuff, like they wouldn't be held accountable. I mean, that's basically how I'm seeing it right now.
Yeah. Okay, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Sure. All right, you're welcome.
As I said, the UN questionnaire, along with an instructional in PDF and Word format, is in the chat. I don't think too many of you will fill it out, unfortunately, but I hope you do.
I was on another call and I asked him to fill it out. It's a choice to back up what Frank is saying, and that's how I look at it as, because I'm aware of the HR bill. We're under a new administration, and bills get rescinded all the time. I've seen it happen. Okay, well they pass another bill, but for us to come back into the UN, and for us, with the United States to have credibility, they cannot say. And I'm well aware of the money that we spend on, supporting the UN. But this is a new administration that happened 4 years ago. Things change. Nothing is constant in this universe but change. So, if that's so, Anthony Blankenship came out and said this in December. So something is going on out there. What happened 4 years ago, things change. Political climate change. The idea of torture, because it comes forth because of Gitmo, that United States is torturing people. It's a big thing going on about Gitmo down there, Guantanamo, right now. And it's coming to the forefront again because of the issues of torture, because Americans' attitudes toward torture has changed. So things change. I hope some of you fill it out. I'm going to fill it out, okay? But it doesn't mean, I don't mean to go, it doesn't mean that it will not work. Something's going on here. Something diplomatically is going on for him to make that statement and plan to rejoin. And if they plan to rejoin, therefore, they have to do something about that bill because it makes the United States and it makes the Biden administration look like a bunch of fools. And Biden may be a lot of things, but he's not a fool. Okay? And there's always hope. And we're talking about something that's done 4 years ago and a totally different climate.
Okay.
I'm a person of color, and I'll stop talking at that point because I was basically non-whatever because I was a person of color under that other administration. And I'll stop talking. I'm off the call now. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Vanetta. Okay, Vanetta has left the meeting. Did somebody want to comment? Deborah, you're up in the active area.
No, I don't really want to comment on that. I think that if this administration has, from what I understand, that they're negotiating getting back into the United Nations.
Okay, that is one thing. What they have to do is sign on the dotted line for the human rights and torture aspects.
Yeah. I have about as much faith in the United Nations as I do this administration. So take that for whatever it's worth.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, the bottom line is, Kevin, through all my targeting, I've managed to put this doc together with 3 documents on it. So if you want to sign it, or if you want to fill it out, it's there for you. Those of you who do not have any faith in the United Nations, the United Nations has come to the aid of countries all over the world and have saved trillions of lives over the years. I can't say trillions, but they've saved a great deal of lives over the years. Okay, would somebody like to comment or bring up a new topic? I think this one is used up. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Frank. How are you doing?
Good.
Nice call.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Always a nice call.
Well, thanks again. We try to keep it that way.
Yeah.
I have a great bunch of people here with a lot of information. Sometimes, usually on Friday night, we have a cavalcade of stars, if you will, of people commenting. Wednesday, a lot of you are getting up in the morning and going to work, and I can understand that. Greg, did you want to comment?
Only about the form, excuse me, on what's your idea on getting it signed. I don't mind supporting it at all. I mean, but I do agree with her that, you know, I have little faith too. I mean, they know all about this, but we have to play the game, you know, and you know, use the law. Use it. We have to. We have to. Use the law, guys.
There's some great organizations out there.
There really are. And then, you know, we're not all mayhem, but, you know, they're trying their best, and we just have to take it back.
Yeah, one of them is INTJ, which Bill Binney is a member. That is an international tribunal. We have The Hague, which is in the Netherlands, and we have Geneva.
Yeah.
All of them are involved with the United Nations.
Yeah. I mean, there are systems there to fix when it, I guess, like, you know, the Milosevic when it gets really bad. But then I also think, like, okay, people like that go that far, there is a profiteering in that around the world on the elites and the corporate system. So, and yeah, he got caught. He went in and he paid the price. And it's like they eat their own thing, you know. It's like when that whole Middle East thing took place with Mubarak and Gaddafi. I mean, and Saddam. I mean, those were all players, and you know, it's just a facade and a charade to me, and so that's where I lose my faith, also on it, and then I have to say, you know, hey, it's there. Push it in their face. Make it work.
Okay.
Make it work.
Hussein was hung by the neck until dead.
He was.
Shot to death.
But
So,
there was Hussein that was interacting prior to that hanging, and it was a quite interesting relationship. So, you know, look at the hands that were shaking. You know, so in essence, they made him look like the evil one. I mean, not for nothing. I mean, I'm not saying he was, but there was both sides on that. I mean, you know, come on. We saw that. Anybody saw through that. But they had to kill him. and all those partners. It's disgusting. Honestly.
Like you said, they eat their own.
They eat their own, man. They eat their freaking own. And on television. And then they have the nerve to have a campaign to enter your mind and say, here's the bad guy. Kill him.
All right. You need to tune your mic down.
I'm sorry about that. I jumped a little forward when I said that. I apologize.
You need to tune your mic down anyway. Very.
How's that?
I don't know. You haven't spoken yet.
Okay. All right. So that's all I mean about that. I don't want to completely trash it, but, you know, it could be an opportunity as well. You know, I say even though these things are like that in the past, you know, there is room for change. So do it. You know? Sometimes those things happen. Turnover happens. It's been shitted on for so long. Maybe this is the chance for them to look right and be right. I'm hopeful.
Has anybody read Glenn Greenwald's book, No Place to Hide?
No, I haven't.
Do you know who Glenn Greenwald is?
I don't.
He's the journalist that interviewed and released the documents with Snowden.
Okay.
I found this book at a Dollar Tree for $1.
Wow.
Okay? And I'm at this part where he's talking about how we are infiltrated, or how we were infiltrated. This is from 2000. Let's see, he wrote this in 2012, I think.
Is that a Dollar Tree? So it should be national-wide then on a Dollar Tree store to find that book then.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Look in your Dollar Tree.
Yeah, what's the name of it?
It's called No Place to Hide.
No Place to Hide.
Edward Snowden, the NSA, and the U.S. Surveillance State. Now you know why it went to the dollar store.
Oh yeah, they want to get rid of it, but at least they chose the market of people shopping for inexpensive items.
I worked there, and I was looking for a gift for my son.
Listen, guys, I go shopping there too sometimes.
Well, I'm just saying, get whatever you want. I was just patiently sitting there quietly.
I love the dollar store.
Yeah, I'm gonna go there.
There's one part in here.
Hang on, I'm gonna look on the computer right now while we talk.
So on this one part here, he's talking about as he was interviewing Snowden, and so it is telling him how the NSA, the person at the time over the NSA was Alexander, and he was ruthless. And then he turned his ruthlessness on to the United States citizens, and he said, after Snowden's revelation, the Wall Street Journal reported that overall interception system of the NSA has the capacity to reach roughly 75% of the U.S. internet traffic in the hunt for foreign intelligence, including a wide array of communications by foreigners and Americans. And I'm like, wow. And Benny, in an interview with the Democracy Now! Said that they've assembled on the order of 20 trillion transactions about U.S. citizens with other U.S. citizens. This book was written 8 years ago, or even longer, 10 years ago. And that should have been a red flag. Holy cow.
Okay.
That information. Does anybody else remember hearing it? I don't.
Did Mr. Snowden directly speak of TIs?
He doesn't call us TIs. He calls us the targets of the NSA.
I would say something in regard to Glenn Greenwald. He's a true reporter. He's a true journalist. Even if he disagrees with a policy, he's going to report the truth about it. I've found that to be true over the last few years. So,
Lonnie, that's why Snowden picked him. It talks about it in the book. That's exactly why he picked him.
I remember Snowden saying that he did. So we have a very few journalists that we can trust these days to tell us the truth, and he's one of them. So anyway, that's good. Thank you for bringing.
So what if he's willing to tell the truth? Why aren't we talking to him?
Good idea.
Why aren't we reaching out to him? He's a truth teller.
Good idea.
Yeah. And we have Snowden who backs us up. Hello.
There's
just saying.
Several people. Atkinson, Cheryl Atkinson is also one. She was targeted and surveilled. So she can identify with some of this. I do think some of our more learned people would be good to talk with some of these reporters, specific journalists. So, good idea.
Yeah, hey, can I get a quick word edgewise with Greg? They took down your YouTube video. I was watching it. It's 36 minutes long, and you did a wonderful presentation on targeted individuals, gang stalking, electronic harassment. And I was watching it in segments, and now it's gone from my history on my YouTube in the library. I was wondering if Greg could repost. Could you repost the YouTube video you took? That's 36 minutes.
I did. I reposted it.
Could you post it in the chat room, please?
Sure.
Thank you, brother.
You got it.
Greg, you still need to turn down.
Okay. All right.
You're bouncing off +3 and +4 over here.
Okay, so how does that sound? I'm close. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Great. Okay, I'll keep it there then.
Frank?
Yes.
It's Carol Ann in Atlanta.
Hi, Carol Ann.
How are you?
Very good.
Okay. Did you happen to get the text that I just sent you?
Yes, I did.
Did you look at the pictures?
I really don't have time at this point. But
okay. Well, it's interesting. It's some kind of an aircraft that landed right behind me. And if you look at all 4 pictures, it was while I was on the phone with the call. You'll see the trees. I mean, you'll be able to see like the bushes and trees in the 3rd picture are the same in the 4th, and then there's a craft. I watched it like come in because I had drones surveilling me every night. But it's a craft, and it landed, and it's interesting. Just thought you might want to look at it and maybe get other people's opinion. And my targeting is the same: poisoning. I've lost 60% of my hair, arsenic poisoning, cadmium, V2K, 24/7. It's just nonstop for me. Yeah, good times.
what time of the day did you shoot that?
This has been in the last 15, 20 minutes while I was on the call. I saw it coming. It looked like another drone coming in, and I was taking a picture because anytime they get low enough, I try to get videos of them. But I couldn't do a video because I was on the call, so I just did reverse screen, and I was walking away, and I snapped 4 pictures back to back. And that's what's in the 4th one.
And what's your location?
I'm in North Georgia, right? I'm about 50 minutes outside of Atlanta.
Okay.
There, if you look at the trees and the bushes, it's the same in the picture right before. There's no houses right there. And look at the lights. It's it's interesting, and it just happened. I just thought you might want to share it or post it or.
Looks like it's part of a video because I can put it in a certain mode and I can make the dwelling below disappear.
It's a live video. A live picture. So a live picture, it like moves it when you take the picture. It's I didn't realize that my camera was in live mode. So the pictures are live, meaning I don't know how to. I'm not technical, so does anybody know how to explain a live picture? So in other words, you can almost see that craft in motion because it's live. I think it's really cool that I had it in live motion because it's almost like coming in.
That's exactly what your camera setting is. That's what it does. It shows the motion of an object in that picture. So it allows the person to see the actual motion of the object of the picture of what you took the picture of.
As you're taking
that's what that setting is.
That split second, you get that second of live picture.
Okay, what is that dwelling below?
What is the what?
That dwelling below.
See, it looks like, I'm not never been a UFO kind of person.
Oh, no, there's a dwelling on the ground. It looks like a trailer or a home or something.
No, that is like the craft. That's what was there. Okay, go to picture 3.
Okay, all right, I should probably post these so that everyone can get a chance to see them.
Okay, great. That's great.
It'll take me a second. You guys can go ahead and chat.
Can I just say a little bit more about this book? And this particular journalist, he worked alongside of a woman named Laura. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. He worked alongside of a woman named Laura Poitras. I think I'm saying her name right. It's Poitras, Poitras. And she's a noted documentary maker. And he doesn't call her a targeted individual, but listen to this. He learned a great lesson from her. He said, by the time they first met in 2010, she had been detained in airports by the Department of Homeland Security more than 36 times as she entered the United States, interrogated, threatened, her materials seized, including her laptop, cameras, notebooks. Yet she repeatedly decided not to go public with the relentless harassment, fearing that the repercussions would make her work impossible. That changed after an unusually abusive interrogation at Newark Liberty International Airport. Laura had had enough. It's getting worse, not better, for me being silent. She was ready for me to write about it. So he publishes an article in a political magazine called Salon, detailing the constant interrogations that she suffered. And it caused the harassment to stop for a while. So they're targeted. In answer to your question, Frank, does he call them TIs? He doesn't have to. He's describing what they're experiencing. Now, he doesn't say anything about do. Not yet. I haven't gotten that far. but he chose this woman to do the documentary because how he released those documents, there was a method to his madness. So that the mainstream media couldn't just sweep it under the rug as just a one-time occurrence. He did it so that it kept coming up. And then finally, after he released as much as he wanted to get the public notified,
unmute yourself. I hit you by accident, Deb. Deborah, hit *6.
Hello?
Okay, Deb, you're unmuted again.
Hello?
You need to always follow your rules. When you become muted, just hit *6. Sometimes
I did, but it said I couldn't get back in.
Okay. Okay. When I mute you, you can always unmute. Okay? So just hit *6 and unmute yourself.
Okay. I tried that, but it said the moderator has muted the conference.
Okay, that's incorrect.
And then when I tried again, it said that I'm muted and this line can no longer be unmuted. And I'm like, I'm just telling you what the recording is telling me.
Okay, yeah.
So,
that's something that free conference call needs to correct. And I'm sorry that happened to you, but go ahead and continue. What you are bringing up is what I was hoping that you would bring up.
So he did it in a manner in which the mainstream media could not just sweep it under the carpet. And then when he had released, the three of them, Greenwald, Poitras, and Snowden they did this together. And he finally introduced himself as the person who was the leak from the NSA. See, he worked for the NSA, but where a lot of the money goes is to private sector and corporations. And he worked for Dell, who had hired Bose Allen, and that's who he worked for. But it was all from the NSA. So why aren't we talking to this lady? This person who makes documentaries. Huh?
I will definitely talk to her.
These are courageous truth tellers. And that's what we need. We need people, courageous truth tellers. And I got to tell you, there ain't every day that I'm feeling courageous. I got to tell you. There's more days now I feel courageous than there has been in the past.
Okay, I just wanted to interject that Carol Ann, I tried to send your photos to my email address, and you are apparently you haven't elected to save quality photographs to your phone because they show up as nothing when you try to email them. Okay, go ahead, Deb.
Okay, I will try to, what I'll do is see if I can email them to you.
Okay, yes, because you have to change the option. You must have an iPhone.
I do.
Yes, you've chosen the option to keep, let me see, thumbnails, if you will, on your phone, and the majority of the picture is on the cloud. So you need to send me the picture from your cloud.
Okay, you got it. And I'll email it. Okay.
Thank you so much. And we'll bring these up Friday night.
perfect.
Yeah, Carol Ann has been sending pictures for the longest time, trying to get somebody to look at them, and I look at them all, and they're just not there. And that's where I get stumped. And there are a few that I cannot identify. They look like a roll of bubble wrap suspended in the air. That's what they look like, obviously, but that's not what they are. So there are a number of different photographs that she has that we have to ID. In Eiffel, I heard you I just saw you mention a matinee. We can do a matinee any day of the week you want. If that's going to bring the older ladies out, we'll do it. And just to comment on Sue Myers, she just posted, the Navy Mind Control Program, the Air Force is actually the first one to file a patent simply because they were trying to find out a way to secretly communicate with their pilots. So they covertly communicated with their pilots using what we call voice to skull. But they didn't think anything of it because it was inside their helmet, and they thought that, okay, this is inside the helmet, it's fine. And when they left the cockpit of the aircraft, they felt no more effects because they weren't targeted. They were just in the cockpit of their aircraft. So this explains why the U.S. is up on a lot, or was up on a lot of communications in certain wars. All right, go ahead, everybody. I don't want to corner the mic here. Nancy P., did you want to say something?
Yes, Frank?
Yes.
Hi. I'm just new to the call, but I was listening to one of the calls. I don't know if it was Ella's or another one, but they had said something. Can you hear me?
Doug, you can't just break in on a conversation, sir. Thank you. Go ahead, Portland.
Okay, they were saying that, I think it was MIG, that some people went to Mexico to try and stop their targeting, and she had tried to get a hold of one of those people, and they couldn't give her any information. I don't know if you heard anything about this. Is this true?
That is true, and it's a gentleman from Rhode Island. I believe it's Rhode Island. And he went to southern Mexico, and he claimed the V2K was quite a bit lighter. And he actually enjoyed himself there. But this was years ago, before technology has blanketed the globe with satellites. So
okay.
I think that he mentioned that probably 6 or 7 years ago.
I'm sure it's a lot different now. But do you know of any countries that don't have targeting, or there are some? Because I've heard of people like, I think Dr. Matt went to a country, and he went underground or something.
Well, he doesn't get V2K, so, and his targeting at the last time I talked to him was actually in what I would call remission. I guess there's no other way to put it. But in terms of countries that you can go to,
yeah, there are some. I don't know.
Well,
it's not known.
There really aren't that I know of. We have countries that are aware of it, but we don't have any countries where that it does not exist. Poland is one of the countries that is aware of it, and its leadership is dead set against it. I think Chile is the other one. They've been in the news recently saying, coming up with legislation, actually. I put that in the newsletter. If you got the newsletter, you would have seen it. But if you would like to, anybody who would like to have the newsletter, just go to targetedmassachusetts.org, and there will be a blue drop-down screen. Just insert your email address, and it is automatically added to the list of people that receive the Sunday newsletter and subsequent updates on conference calls.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
But there was a woman on his video, when he made that movie, that said that she was in another country and she wasn't being targeted. I think it was in somewhere in those.
Targeted by what?
Well, there was a woman in Dr. Matt's movie that she said she went to the Middle East and she was in some country and she wasn't targeted there. But she tried to find a place where she wouldn't be targeted. And she moved to one Middle Eastern country and she wasn't targeted. It was in Dr. Matt's movie that he had.
Okay, you have to question the, you have to hold that target to accountability.
Okay.
Because that's, all right, talk to that target. How did this happen? Why? When did it stop? And did it start again when you came home? Or what? You have to talk to these people and get them to account to you of exactly what happened. Everyone needs to communicate more. Find out who these people are. Talk to Dr. Matt. And
yeah, it was in his movie. Maybe I could send him an email or something better. I was kind of interested about that because I thought it was all over the world. And she said, but you don't know if it's true or not, I guess.
Portland, can you turn your mic down, please? And is my mic too loud? I need to know that.
Sounds okay from here.
Okay, if it's too loud, let me know, because I'm hitting 0. That's where I usually want to be. But if it's too loud
sounds
for
okay.
you, let me know. Okay, thank you. Okay, we need someone new up to the mic, or someone that has already spoken who would like to add to a conversation that we've had, or would like to start a new one.
Wow. I got some conversation ideas.
Let's hear it.
I'm not sure if the timing is right about it, though. Honestly, I'm gauging the mood and the openness. And it's an esoteric topic, but it shouldn't be labeled as that. It shouldn't be labeled as that. And
well, why don't you see if we think it is?
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, I was going to say, all that can happen is either we're going to talk about it or not. You know,
or you guys like shoot me down in your mind, or you shoot me down live.
This is a sounding board.
I'm joking, guys. I'm joking. That was a joke. Don't take it seriously. Has any of you guys ever heard of Ashiana Dean? Please, somebody. One.
No.
Oh, okay. See, there I go. I want to back out now. You know. Hold it. Let me.
Well, who is it?
She is. That's a great question. I mean, because she's a spiritual teacher. She has books out. She had a workshop.
Oh, great!
Her workshop actually has been going on since 1999.
Oh, okay.
I mean, she's. I mean, people would probably put her in the New Age movement, but it's not. It's nothing like that at all. And she doesn't even. In fact, she says that she's been blacklisted by them because the teachings that some of the more popular New Age teaching leaders have. She says they teach the wrong thing and they don't like that, basically, which comes to the fact that there's been an infiltration not only in religion but then spiritual teaching as well by this cabal. So that's.
Is
but
this
anyway,
the woman that captures spirits, other people's spirits?
I'm sorry?
Is this the woman that captures other people's spirits?
No.
The spirit
like
of other people? Oh, okay. All right.
Nothing like that at all.
Because she does that for celebrities.
There's someone I heard that does that. You mean the channel that channels her another spirit into her?
Oh no, I'm not interested in any of that.
That's
bad.
No way!
This woman
don't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Not even a 10-foot pole. 1 inch, a toothpick. Forget it. Stay away. That is, especially as a TI, right? Yeah, you want somebody in your body, or you want to support something like that, right?
Oh no, that is bad juju. I'm telling you, stay away from it.
All right, we're not going to play. Just spit it out.
She doesn't teach that either. In fact, she condemns it. But the point I was trying to make, and I'll post her books, is that she approaches. She apparently works with these guardians, and they gave her a set of teachings, and it's structure. It's called Keylontic science, but it's a science, and it's about how we were created, and it's a science. It's not anything like a motivational type of teaching or anything like that. And it's amazing. It's like, okay, somebody had to do this because there is no way this woman could have made this up. But she tells us that these were the teachings that were supposed to be given to us through our religious institutions, and they were hijacked. So our Bible should have had this. Yes.
We need a link, sir. Couple people in the chat.
Okay.
So
all
if
right.
you could drop a link in there, that would be appreciated. I'm sure we're all capable of understanding it.
All right, sure. No, it wasn't about understanding. Don't get me wrong, Frank, about that. It was,
okay.
No, that's not what I meant. Understanding. It was, just a point of view. Some people are not into that, and I didn't want to push it on. That's all. I mean, we have issues without even believing that there's a God sometimes, and there's extraterrestrials, and so I don't want to be in the middle of that. I don't want to push.
I don't want to start an extraterrestrial call, but I believe in them. Okay.
I believe. Listen, Frank. Here it is. Frank, before you go any further, here it is confirmed. I know I had my experience, so, and I don't need nobody to tell me different. So I know they exist, and you know what? It opened it.
Greg, we can't do that here because we have enough trouble having people believe that we're targets. So if we get into aliens, that becomes a problem. Do you have a problem unmuting yourself?
Hang on. I'm trying.
Okay, you're right.
No, it's fine. No, I did you mute me? You muted me, right?
Yeah, I muted you because I wanted to say that we can't get into that.
Let me ask you a question. What's the challenge on it?
The challenge is this. We have a hard enough time getting people to believe that we're targeted. But if you associate flying saucers, that, you know, you might as well grab a tin hat, slap it on.
But I'm not. I don't think this has anything to do with being targeted. I'm talking about just the general aspect of reality, life. I'm speaking from that perspective. I'm not saying that this is a targeted reality. It was a general conversation like, hey, do you believe in aliens? And it's an open discussion to talk about what is.
No, it's not.
But I understand.
It's a different call, Greg. It's for a different call.
I understand. No, I understand that, guys, but I was trying to get an understanding, like, why is it such a taboo? Because to me, it's nothing. It's like, okay,
you were target?
You believe.
You were targeted, correct?
Was I targeted? Well, I guess when I had my experience, basically, the way I assessed it, they came after me. So, and I didn't walk into some back alley, that's for sure. So,
okay,
that's the way I did.
You were going to spill this all out for us, and you have yet to do it.
No, we moved on to this, which is totally unrelated to the Ashiata Dean books that I wanted to post. It was, but believe it or not, she addresses that in the book, and she says that there is that's something that we probably going to have to grasp in our world, because this cabal that is doing these type of things to us are doing a whole bunch of other things nasty. And there's a super soldier, I mention them often. There's a super soldier channel on YouTube. Look at those guys, and you can't call them delusional. These are military guys telling you what the government is doing to them. And when you hear this story, it's like, I say we're a step below them, because they're getting, their targeted is total tech, out of this world. And if you think this, this conversation, listen to some of their conversations. Just give it a shot, guys. Be an open mind. Right. And there's one of the Super Talk channel.
This is out of this world tech. Okay, what you're talking about are the Monarchs from the Monarch Project or Project Monarch.
Yeah, they go way out there. Yes.
That's the one that turns out the super soldier. Okay, yeah. I prefer to call us the new MK Ultra.
Okay.
Because the old MK Ultra was in the same building, we'll say. Okay. The new MK Ultra is remote. So that's what I choose to call it.
Yes.
What you're talking about is Project Monarch. That is the super soldier. I've talked to Project Monarch people that are actually proud of it. And they have monarchs tattooed on themselves.
Wow. Yeah, there's a bunch of them out there. There's a lot actually turning up in there. It seems like they're just growing, everyone they have a different story on their side too. Yeah. And
okay, Greg, do you have an issue to bring up?
No. I mean, no, not really.
Okay, because you sound like you have a lot to offer, and I'm just trying to tap that brain of yours.
Well, whatever. Listen, we have a big issue everywhere with this, and it's just a matter of us accomplishing some tasks. I think our battle is total legal, and that's the direction we have to take, even from a local, state, and federal level.
I disagree.
Okay. I mean, so then, from a legal standpoint, what is your suggestion on how to resolve this, how to fight it?
From a legal standpoint, we don't have a point to stand on right now because we don't have the correct target. Once you have the target in sight, then form your legal task force. Because right now we have one lawyer who claims to be for the TIs, and his webpage, instead of it being a legal law page, it's not. It's a very unprofessional GoFundMe. The whole page is
which lawyer is this? The Ray Schumann?
I'm not going to mention names.
Well, I mean, if he's pitching to the targeted community, I mean, it's nice to let us know what your opinion is, because I don't know who you're talking about personally.
I have no idea who I'm talking about in terms of mentioning names. I'm just going to say that I wouldn't have a GoFundMe as my whole webpage.
Yeah, it does sound. Yeah, exactly. That's not a professional outlet. Right. I mean, if it's a some small independent attorney trying to make a name or something like that, I don't know. But I would. There's people. I'm hearing lawyers.
Okay, great. You seem to want to talk, but you don't seem to have a specific avenue. You have generalities.
Frank, you asked me a question and I answered it, and I'm being open about it. Okay, so that's that,
sir.
bro. All right. So I mean, I'm sharing my opinion. You said what you just said, and I disagree. I think the avenue is the law road. Other than that, we got mayhem.
Okay, in terms of running or organizing a suit, I advise people against it at this point in time. In terms of researching government, following the money, that's the place to go. That's good, okay? But if you're here because you want to see the end of a class action suit, you're in the wrong place.
I'm not here for that. But I do acknowledge them out there, and I support them. I don't think we should shun them. Listen, every bit of a fight is important, no matter. So what it loses? Try again. I'm not a defeater, man. And that's what I'm hearing a little bit personally.
Oh,
fight, man. Fight,
think
bro.
I'm a defeater? Okay.
Come on, man. I don't want to put that, the limitations, that I don't want to hear that, I know what they are. We're fighting fucking monsters, bro. We're fighting monsters.
Now you
apologize. I apologize.
You just screwed me off of YouTube with this broadcast. So
I apologize. Excuse me.
Wow. Greg, you're going nowhere. All right, so get to the point. Start a conversation with somebody, if you will, because you're just one big generalization at this point in time, to me.
Okay. It's fine. I don't have a point. It was a very general point. That's fine.
Well, you don't start a conversation by saying that, this is a very esoteric topic. Now, meaning that there are only a select few that understand it. That's not a good way to start out.
Frank, I corrected that, didn't I? But you didn't hear that, bro. I said that's not what I meant.
Okay, zero in on your topic.
You're circumventing
Zero
back to
in
it.
on your topic.
It wasn't about people not. I did not say that people wouldn't understand it.
Zero in on your topic.
It was about a point of view, and I
Zero
said I just didn't want to be. No, I don't want to do it. If you don't mind.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Now, a lot of people come to these conference calls with the idea that they're going to come up and talk. Well, that's great, but if you're going to come up and talk about a pertinent subject. Talk about, okay, you talk about an author, that's great. Run through some of the works that the author has done. Bring something pertinent, even if it runs parallel to targeting. Now, Deborah brought up Edward Snowden. Very good. There's a lot of topics. All I said was, please don't talk about spacecraft and little green men. And I happen to believe in that, okay? I'm a believer, but I cannot associate targeting with flying saucers. And the reason being, we'll never be believed by anyone, and we might as well strap on the tin hats now.
Sure. I understand, Frank. I apologize for that.
But by all means, go ahead if you choose to.
Yeah, give me a minute to get it together here, and I'll try to explain what I wanted to get out. Okay?
Okay, that'll be great. I'm going to grab a fresh cup of coffee. Just feel free, jump in, talk about everything but COVID, and we'll be fine. And if you want to talk about flying saucers, I'll still publish it. So go for it.
In fact, guys, what I'll do, I'll share my PDF book that I bought. But please buy it. It has my name on it. Don't sell it because it'll get me in trouble. But I'm willing to share it. All right?
Hello? Go away.
All right, guys, I posted the book in the chat. It's called Voyagers. Here it is. This is what I want. And then this is the cover. That's it.
I don't have computer, so how would I get that? Do you have like a website or something?
Do you have email?
I do, but I can't get to it. They blocked me everywhere. I can't even get.
It's an electronic file. It's a PDF. I mean, you can either read it on your computer or on your phone. That's about it. It's not a paper. You can get a. The paperback is going to be expensive. The PDF is like $17.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
I think she's trying to fix that. But there's a lot of.
It's called Voyagers.
Voyagers, and it's Ashiana Dean, and it's. I'll spell it for you. It's ASHAYANA, Ashiana, and Dean, last name is DEANE, and it's called Voyagers: Secrets of a Mente. There's 2 books.
I thought it was your book that you wrote about your experience.
No.
I'm really not interested in that kind of spirituality. Okay. But thank you.
No. I do have a book though, but I'm not. I'm not really. I decided to just let it go.
Okay.
Because
no problem.
The target kicked in, and then the language kicked in, and but it traveled to many areas between the targeting and other areas of life, like banking, financing, and social issues, and I was all over the place, and I just felt that there was no direction, and then I'm swearing. So it became more of an anger book to me, and I just decided that it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's good, though. I mean, I brought up some great points, I think, in terms of, the facade. The facades of the book is the one that I was proud of because there's a lot of delusion, a lot of things that they hide from us and they have us believing. For example, I mean, the alien thing and the moon. I mean, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm a little strong about it, even though I believe in it as well. I discovered how they cover it up. They censor these images, all of it. And my book was actually titled NASA Uncensored, and I back edited this information, and I was able to pierce through the photos and see it, all of it. I can even show you myself, and it would probably change your belief system. But what it did for me is that I started going out there and say, all right, where are they lying to me in other areas? And I just went on and on. I went to the church. Then by the time I got to my college degree, I just said, oh, I got robbed, and so it was. I don't know. It may have turned into a therapy type of thing rather than.
It sounds like it, and that's good.
Yeah, no, I am proud of it. I just don't feel it's something. The language cleanup would probably make it better, but other than because I do swear. I said, hey, listen, if you really want to fight, Don't buy the products. Shut them down. I put that in there, and I believe in that tactic. You know, if we really want to get at these companies that are doing this nasty stuff, don't buy their stuff. Shut it down. They'll change. Martin Luther King shut that bus down, and no one rode it. Listen, I mean, that's, you know, this is the power that we have as people. And yes, you know, the fact that they slap us and do that around, they create fear. It makes them look mighty, and some of us, and I have to respect that some of us are not fighters. Some of us are not. You know, we're comfortable, and this kind of behavior is not us, and I respect that.
Well, I mean, disclosing tyranny and disclosing crimes is always good. It's always, truth telling is always good. Okay. However, we have to remember that, you know, when we're talking about stuff, I mean, I try to keep in mind that I'm not the only targeted individual in my state or my country or my job or my, you know, I am part of a community. Yes. And I have to, sometimes sometimes I don't do it. I don't act right. I don't say the right thing. But I have to get it back in check as soon as possible, because I really do. That's very important to me, to know that I am part of a community. It's not just me.
Right.
And that was so important to me when this first happened, because I was like, oh, dear God, thank you that I'm not the only person that is feeling this way, that this is happening to. It was like going to my first AA meetings and seeing that there were other alcoholics that understood my dysfunctional thinking, and they didn't care. They even asked me to come back. You know, that was 28 years ago. So I understand the value of community, but I also understand the pain of finding out that there's infiltrators in the community. And that's like most of us have. Yeah. So to be transparent, to, you know, as much as possible, as it is, you know, as we can, in light of our own safety and the safety of others. Still, we have to be other-centered. You know, I'm not lecturing. I need to hear that too, because
I agree with you.
I've been targeted so bad the last few days. They have vibrated me for 3 days. Wow. My insides, my body, places, my hands hurt so bad.
Are you alone, or you have like friends you can be with, or?
Yeah, I used to have. I have some friends. I go to a Bible study every Tuesday. Okay. I do have friends. I used to have a church family. I don't anymore. And I haven't walked into a church to attend church since that happened. I haven't worked up the courage to do that yet. But I do have friends. I have a job. I take care of an elderly lady that is just a gem.
Okay.
And I'm working as much as I can, trying to get my life put back together. I was homeless for a long time over the summer, and all the winter. And lived in my car, went through my retirement. And somebody was saying about, you know, once they saw they weren't going to get his retirement, and I kind of had that experience too. I mean, I only had like a drop in the bucket, you know. It was just next to nothing compared to most folks. I couldn't even start collecting and doing my, you know, adding to my 401k until I was in my 40s. My kids in their teens. I was a single parent. And so I didn't really have a whole lot. And when I went to Schwab, to find out about it, I got this blank stare, and I went, I was not taking any gumption. I said, all right, here's the deal. Here's my Social Security number. Find my money now. Because I need it. And that's what sustained me over the summer, over these last couple of years. Yep. And then I found a job, and I'm trying to stay above water like everybody else.
Cool.
So, anyway, I don't see my kids. They don't believe me. I think one does, and it terrifies him. Poor guy. I feel bad for him. But I'm keeping notes, and I am journaling. I have photo journals, and I think my family, I really think my family's part of it. It's so depressing. But they will answer to God for that. I hope I'm wrong. I really do.
So do I.
This is Michael in Anchorage, Alaska.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Deb. I'm in the similar situation as you are, I guess. I'm retired for a couple of years, and I actually started a lot later than you as far as contributing to 401. But you know, if you stay positive and if you hold on to your 401, whatever you have left, and try to invest in small ways, you could stay above. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. Mm-hmm. Only income I have is Social Security, and then whatever I have left in 401, I use it to invest. I mean, I can't work anymore. I'm 74, mm-hmm. But you know what? This government is really crazy because they offer me unemployment, even at my age and retired, to give me like $130-something a week for a maximum of $10,000 as long as I file for unemployment. This is crazy.
So they can track you.
They're trying to give me free money, mm-hmm. Versus freedom.
Right.
And I'm not going for this. They're tempting me like crazy. I mean, they keep sending me. I'm retired. I haven't worked in 2.5 years. They're sending me these benefits. If I want to receive benefits.
If you want to work, there's things you can do, Michael.
Right. I'd rather not because, my time is more precious now. I realize. Mm-hmm. I was given my time is like a slave, So now this is my time, and I'm going to do what I can with whatever I have in my body and my soul. But
sounds like a good plan.
Right, and what I wanted to say was about someone was talking about the UN earlier. As you know, this current administration is reversing everything that was done in the previous administration. I mean, they're just reversing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we got out of the UN, because I remember watching the news. The reason why President Trump got out of the UN was because U.S. was paying about almost 9 times as much as China.
That's right.
They were considered. I mean, this is considered fair share payment, but U.S. was paying like over, I don't know, over 10, as of 2017, they were paying like over $10 billion.
That's right.
And that $10 billion is more than the next 3 top paying contributor to UN, which is Germany, England, and Japan. I mean, U.S. was paying combined more than the combined total of the next 3.
Mm.
And so President Trump says, he didn't think that U.S. was not getting, our share of the money. I mean, our benefits of paying that much. So he just removed contributions from the UN.
He ran this country like the company that it is. It's a corporation. And that's what he's good at.
Right. So he, like he said, he put America first. So, but anyway, and then one other thing I wanted to know is if anybody knows how to, or if I can get a copy of the petition that, what's her name, Helena Sorba, petition to the government. If I could get a copy of that, because individually we all can do that. But I was just curious how she went about it.
I'm pretty sure Ella has a copy on the ffti.org website. I'm pretty sure she does.
Oh.
Or you could email her, because she worked extensively with her, and so did Frank. But there might be a link on his website too. He might be able to lead you to where you could get a copy of that.
Yeah, because individually I don't have much evidence as of now, because I'm kind of new as far as collecting evidences. But if it goes any more than 2-3 years more, it's might as well petition. You could do it individually, because it's we have the right. We have the right, the First Amendment right to petition the government. That's the First Amendment rights, for grievances.
That's right. As long as it's as long as it's still in force, we might as well do it.
That's right. I mean, it does. You don't have to have lots of evidence, but even the Daily Journal, the affidavits, and whatever photos you have, if individually, I don't think it's that hard, as long, after you legally, I learned the process. But if we could all just send them in, and they'll start getting some ideas. That's our basic rights,
Mm-hmm. I have to wait until I can print a hard copy and send it in, because they block my data. They block me from getting to sites and stuff. And I don't have a computer and internet at home, so.
Well, you have to sort of play. They're beginning to do that to my computer, where I have to shut it down during the day 3 or 4 times a day now, and it wasn't like that before. So you have to you have to sort of, when you get your computer, you have to sort of sneak in at a certain time and do whatever you have to do and get out right away. That's what I do. I don't stay on it as too long. But I would. Those are the only questions that I had. I was just curious how to get that Helena Zorba's petition, and I just wanted to share about that UN because it was outrageous how much U.S. was paying UN.
Right.
I mean, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous what they were paying.
I mean, they did do a lot of good stuff.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
I need to straighten something out in my head, my memory. As I understand, what Trump resigned from with the UN was the Security Council, which is that, elite member group that was permanently there. And what he resigned from permanently in the whole was the WHO, and that had to do with China not paying much of anything, and we were paying a lot too. Same is true with the UN, but they're still meeting in New York, as far as I know. So we're the host, So I'm not sure. The Security Council is what I thought he resigned from. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. He resigned from the WHO.
Right. Yeah. That was after the COVID came through, and the WHO was covering up information, or they were kind of in cahoots with China on that, and he didn't like that. And I believe that was one of the things, because he's a businessman, and he understood how much more we were paying to that thing, and we weren't getting the influence that others were getting, especially China, and they weren't paying for it. So anyway, I thought that was important.
Well, that's interesting because China's poor people, they're not, I don't know who's getting it over there, but it ain't the people.
Right. Anytime I complain, I'd rather not say China because it does refer to people, but it's the CCP. It's the Chinese Communist Party. Anytime you deal with the government, it. And bless their hearts, they're under it right now.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of persecuted Christians over there.
Yeah. Christians and Muslims and everybody. Anybody who believes that the government is not God is getting persecuted over there. Because with the communist dictatorship, the government is small g, is God. That was the whole aim of Marx in the beginning. And it has to be that way.
That's where we're headed.
I hope we don't. That concerns me. Yeah.
Yep.
We're getting there.
What happened? Go ahead, Lonnie.
I was just going to say that I heard today that the former President Trump's personal lawyer, had his home and office raided today. His son was standing out front, and he said the only incriminating evidence they're going to find in there was evidence against the present president's son. And there's something wrong with that, guys. This is not America. This is more like a third world country when that happens.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
Yeah, something should be done about that. I know that he did have a woman, Mrs. Powell, also. Her career was ruined, and she is she's certainly not destitute, but she is in trouble in terms of her career. Sidney Powell.
I don't know about
Sidney Powell.
Sidney Powell, yeah. Yeah, she's got that computer, what is it? What's the name of that thing? Dominion is suing her for billions of dollars because they're saying that she accused them of doing something they didn't do, but there's too much out there that I just want the truth to come out, and I'm very concerned that the truth is going to be squelched. And
okay, guys,
that's not right either. So.
I have to reboot, all right? And I will be back in 3 minutes or less.
What does that mean?
Reboot?
Oh, yeah, we can still talk, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, great, don't go away.
Go for it, yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm really concerned it's going to be squelched as well.
Truth's hard to come by. Truth is one of those things that you have to dig for. You got to really look for it if you want to get it. And that's one thing I appreciate. You were talking earlier about Greenwald and Atkinson, and there are a few journalists that we can trust out there that TIs really need to be contacting. You're right.
How would you get in touch with somebody like that?
He's in Brazil. I think he lives in Brazil.
Yeah, he does. He
Tucker
lives in Rio. Tucker Carlson, yeah.
Yeah, and she has a program. She has a site. What is the name of her program? I can't remember. Anyway.
Oh.
If you just look up Cheryl Atkinson.
Oh. Okay. What about this? Have you ever heard? This is the first time I heard this person's name. This journalist that worked with him, Laura Poitras.
I don't know about her. Is she in the book?
Poitras. Yeah, she's the. He worked with this woman because she's such a great. She did a lot of films, such as the violence in the Iraq War, in the Sunni Triangle. She made My Country, My Country, an unflinching look at life under U.S. occupation that was nominated for an Academy Award. Her next film was The Oath, where she traveled to Yemen, where she spent months following two Yemen men, Osama bin Laden's bodyguard, as well as his driver. Since then, Poitras has been working on a documentary about NSA surveillance. The three films, conceived as a trilogy about U.S. conduct during the War on Terror, made her a constant target of harassment by government authorities every time she entered or left the country. But that's why Snowden chose her along with Greenwald.
Yeah. What's her name again?
Laura Poitras. P as in Paul. O. I. T as in Tom. Richard. Apple. Samuel.
Okay. Poitras. Sounds French. No.
I'm thinking, you want to get the word out? Let's talk to them. So I'm only halfway through this book, and it's one of the best dollars I've ever spent.
Do you know, I was at the dollar store the other, same kind we have here, and there was a guy who bought $70 worth of books, and I said, are you opening a library? What are you doing? He said, he says that he's an online bookseller or something like that for Amazon, and he said it takes a while, but you can get into it. So he goes through and he picks out books that are going to sell, and they sell them online. I guess Amazon does.
He probably makes a good profit.
Yeah. So I want to go in before he goes in there. I have gotten. I just go in. I used to go in and just get those little New Testaments, and if I gave $1 on the street or something, I would stick it in the Testament, that sort of thing. That worked out well. But I never looked at the other books. I guess I need to.
I just happened to find this one, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I bought it for my son, and then I started reading the cover on it, the leaf, the jacket. It sold for $27 somewhere, but now it's at the dollar store. I'm like, they can even do that. They can even censor you. This journalist, Greenwald, is one of the best journalists of our time. He's certainly one of the most truthful. Yeah. And they censored this book, and it's being sold at Dollar Tree. I'm telling everybody. So.
Yeah. There are a lot of books out there. Everybody's writing a book these days, I think, too, and that has something to do with it. But, yeah, the guy has integrity. He started a news organization that was supposed to be unbiased, and that was one of their main things. And they turned out not to be that way. So he resigned from it, and he was one of the founders. And I heard an interview with Tucker Carlson, interviewed him. He said, why did you resign from your own organization? And he explained it. He said they were so totally one-sided that he just decided not to be part of it anymore.
Yeah, he does have integrity, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There are, it seems like if you can't do anything else, to get even with somebody, with this system that we're having to live under, they write a book.
Yeah.
But like this one, I found this one in the most unlikely place. I did a lot of research when I was trying to find a job, and I did a lot of research when I first got targeted. I picked up this one book on surveillance, and this is before I realized that my family could possibly be involved in this, either consensually or not, or being coerced.
Wow.
But it doesn't matter. And I showed this book to my brother, who said, leave that here. And I did. And then it was time to take it back to the library, so I went over and, I was like, hey, did you get a chance to read that book? No, I didn't. Oh, okay. And so I said, well, it's over at this library if you want it, but I need to take it back. And I don't know if he ever went to see it or if he ever looked at it, or I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it was just full of stuff that was happening to me. And I'm like, I am not imagining this. It cannot be user error. 28 pieces of electronics, including a Echo Pen, an Alpha 3000, which was the word processor that the special school district used here in St. Louis. It's an Apple product.
Mm-hmm.
And the two computers in the same car. It can't be user error, okay? They either went belly up or they were compromised. And I'm like, what have I got? I used to jokingly, what have I got, a target on my back? Yeah, I have a target on my back. But once I could identify, it was like, okay, all right, it has a name, great, let's go. I want to know how to stop it. Naming it is half the battle.
It is, but it's difficult, and I sympathize with even family members sometimes with not being able to understand or believe it or grasp it, because even people who are married, one is targeted, one is not. Difficult for the spouse to withstand.
That is the saddest thing. And so I think mind control. Don't you think mind control is a part of that?
Some of it, but not all. I don't think it's all that. We tend to blame mind control on everything, but no. And I've said this before, but 10 years before I was targeted, I was introduced to someone whose friend would have these episodes, and he would just take off. and be gone for 3 weeks and come back. And I talked to him. He said, so-and-so wants to talk to you. So we just sat and talked, and he told me a little bit, and he was targeted, definitely. I said, well, where do you go when you leave? He said, I just have to keep moving because, he was harassed in that electronically. And it started with him during the, right after the Vietnam War. The deal is you can sympathize with somebody, but you can't diagnose it or you can't grasp it because you can't. People who have not experienced technology doing this to us cannot wrap their minds around it. So that's why I feel that, and I hope you can find that your family is not. Was your family, you're a believer in Christ. Were you raised in church or in that way, or was that something
I was raised Catholic.
Later?
I was raised Catholic,
okay.
And then I became a Christian when I was 33.
Okay, yeah. There's not much Bible teaching, actually, is there? Now, I don't know. I was an art teacher for the Catholic school here, but that was just once a week, and I didn't really get involved in the in the teaching like that. But as I understand, there's really not much teaching about the Bible study, as there is in the others. So that's it. That's so important.
There isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize this until as I was an adult, but everywhere, all over the world, on Sunday morning, every single Catholic church in every single city is preaching the same sermon.
Really? I didn't know that.
I didn't either. I just found this out a couple of years ago. I went, really? Wow, I was Catholic all my life and didn't know that. I mean, until I was a Christian. And so I was like, wow. And my dad still, I haven't talked to him for a long time, over a year. Over a year and a half. And, but every time we talk, are you sure you don't want to come back to the church? And I got to tell you, there's nothing that the Catholic Church has that I want.
Yeah.
They do not offer Christ.
Well, they're convinced that that's the only church, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they think that's it, Yeah.
Here's what I found out, that there are different parts of the Catholic Church that I didn't know existed, because I was at an AA meeting, and this young man comes in, and the only reason I knew about the Knights Templar is because I had a professor, and he taught church history, which I decided that I really like learning about. And he talked about the Crusades, and the Knights Templar and everything. And so I learned a lot of information about that. And this guy comes, he's sitting there. I come in, and I sit down next to the girl that he was with. And I'm realizing I'm targeted now, right? And so he stretches out his arms on the table, and he's sporting tattoos of the Knights Templar crosses on his arm.
Really?
He's also got one on his hat. So after the meeting, I said,
I didn't know it's still around.
Listen to what he said when I asked him that. So after the meeting, I said, boy, those are some really interesting crosses there. And he looked at me, and I said, Knights Templar, right? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, I didn't think they existed anymore. He goes, well, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
And I went, he goes, I have one on my back, too. Oh,
lovely.
Nice.
Did he show you?
So, no.
Oh, good.
But a year and a half before that, in 2016, when I went to the March for Life with the Missouri Right to Life caravan, to give my testimony on the at the Supreme Court, I'm sitting there with my brand new tablet, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm getting into it with my password, and I'm kind of hunched over, and how you kind of feel somebody staring at you. And as soon as I hit enter to get into my tablet, I look up, and this woman is
standing over me with her phone. She looked at me, Lonnie, and smiled and said, "Thanks." She walks down the aisle, sits down across from her husband, and all of a sudden my tablet starts running numbers. All of a sudden, this stuff was running across my screen, and I went, "I'll be a son of a gun. Who are these people?" So I started researching, and there's different places in the Catholic Church. There's different organizations like the Opus Dei. Like they are lay people, but they are part of the church where couples are kind of counsel. Older couples kind of counsel younger couples, which is Titus talks about that. About the character and what a deacon or a church leader should look like and appear like, and women are to mentor younger women, to love their husbands, and so that was kind of like, oh, that's kind of scriptural. But then there's like this part of this organization where if you want to join it and you're single, you have to take a vow of celibacy to them. And I went, what? What?
I'll tell you what. All right, I don't want to denigrate one group like this so much. I have to say something nice about the Catholic Church. I absolutely, completely appreciate their sticking to their guns when it comes to right to life. They've been doing that from the very beginning, and they never quit. And us Protestants have been, we've just been sitting back. Our ministers haven't really done much about it or spoken out about it, but the Catholics did. And I go down there once in a while. When I can get into town, I take my sign and I, do our little demonstration. And it's usually with everybody, anybody who does it. But there's a group of Catholic people who come from the little town not far from here, and they prayed for 5 years. They were out there praying in front of the Planned Parenthood there, and he said it closed. It closed. It just closed.
Here in St. Louis, it closed.
Yeah. He said all we did was get out there and pray. But now they come to this town about, once a month or something like that and participate with everybody. But that sticking to it, though, is something I appreciate.
Oh, I do, too. If it wasn't for them, the life arena wouldn't, or the pro-life wouldn't be as promoted. It wouldn't be, I agree with you completely, because Protestants have not kept up with it.
No.
I'm just saying in this, because there are parts of it that it's like, wow, I didn't know that existed. And it didn't completely disqualify the good that I see that they do. But I still don't want to be a part of it.
No, I could never be a Catholic. I could never do that. I know enough that I couldn't do it. I just have to. I want to think and learn and do things that would not be, accepted. Anyway, where did the lessons come on Sundays? Is that from the Vatican?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yep.
All the way from there. That's interesting.
Yep, the Holy See. And when we were on the buses, they would stop and periodically do the rosary, and I kind of felt lost because I was like, ooh, and it was like part of my background, and so I would just close my eyes and just pray myself,
Yeah.
But I was just so taken aback when that happened with my tablet, and I was like, okay, this isn't good. Yeah. And I don't know if they were part of the Catholic Caravan. I don't know who they were. Then her husband gives me his business card as I'm getting off the bus, right, back in St. Louis. And I go, what's this? And he goes, my business card. And I go, what for? Well, you never know, you might need me. I don't think so.
What was it? What kind of business?
He was a computer guy.
Oh, yeah.
It was sort of like in your face, we got your stuff, and I was just like, whatever. So, but yeah, it was a weird thing, and it was scary, but it didn't stop me from going back the next time. I went one more time, and that's when I got snowed in and on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. That year that we had it was a blizzard, and we were headed
back. I finally get back on. Free conference call did not want to light up, so I finally get it straightened out, and I'm back. So I just want to let you know.
Well, good. We need you. Glad you're
We're just keeping the line warm for you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. So, what did I miss?
Well, let's see. What did we talk about?
We were talking about the Catholic Church, but
and the Knights Templar still exists.
And the Knights Templar, yes.
Interesting.
So I think that was part of my targeting.
No.
The guy showed up at my AA meeting. I'm like, seriously, really? So.
They're actually good people. They've probably been good people down through the ages. And to say that they are part of your targeting, I don't think they are. I am DMLA, which is the next thing you go through before Knights Templar. So they're good people. They really are. And they are Christian, and they are not like, let me see. What's that lovely organization of people all over the country that
Freemasons?
Freemasons indulged in satanic rituals. I assure you that the Knights Templar are not.
You were DMLA. I was a rainbow girl.
Were you?
Yeah, we had a little our meetings, but then there was something about that was for the boys and this was for the girls, and we wore formal. We wore formals to the meetings, and it was a neat little song about the rainbow. We sang it. We didn't do anything that was weird, but let me tell you. Right. Go ahead. My dad. Go ahead with talk about DMLA for a minute, because I don't know that much. I just knew some boys who were doing it.
Well, the Order of DMLA was for Christian young men, and I stayed with it for quite some time, quite a few years, until I was to the level at which I could join Knights Templar. And Knights Templar is still around, yes, and still becoming stronger because they are a Christian organization. And there, you will see them go to bat against things that are wrong in this world as soon as their numbers become what they should. That's what I will say about it. It's very full. You even have, I've done it myself, be a sentry at the door to the proceedings, 2 sentries at the door to the proceedings so that no one could come in. And theoretically, you were supposed to shed your own blood before you would let someone enter the meeting, because it was private. And it's very, very old. And the Knights Templar are very, very old. And they are said to guard the Christians down through the ages, down through time. And they were persecuted. Many of them were killed, down to very few left. And they were killed simply because they regarded the world as it should be, not the money that everyone wanted. The Knights Templar had a cache of money, but it was to support their troops and their movements. And they were in France, and that was one of their strongholds. And the French government just took them over and booted them out. So they left in ships to a secret hideaway. I can't remember exactly the name of it. But they're not bad. That's the bottom line. There's Bible study in there. It's all, it's all Christian, all of it.
Well, aren't they the ones that actually got the Ark of the Covenant over here in the United States?
Aren't they what?
Who got the Ark of the Covenant over here to the United States? The Templars. Yes?
That may be true. They kept it safe for how many years? Yeah, that's something else too. That's debatable.
I was just wondering, that's what I heard. So, whether it's true or not, I don't know.
But anyway, just to put that at rest, they are good people, and they always have been good people. They were primarily made up of Protestant Christians.
Where did you get your facts from, Frank?
My facts? Right out of study. Why?
I dropped the phone, so I've been gone for a couple of minutes. But I wanted to say this, too. The boys that I knew in DeMolay were Christians, and they acted that way. So that was, I can support that, too. And it was a good time.
I mean, initially, the Knights Templar were put together by Rome for the Crusades, in which they killed a lot of Jewish people.
The Crusades were a Catholic endeavor.
Okay.
Yes, but the Knights Templar were the ones who they got that name because they protected Solomon's temple.
From the Jews?
And they were the Rome sent them there. Okay. And what happened was the Crusades these people were thinking that they needed to go back to the Holy Land, okay?
Yeah.
And so these people were making these treks back there, and they were being slaughtered.
Yeah.
Jews, and the Templars were the ones who had been enlisted by the Roman bishop or the Roman whoever was, I don't know what they called him at that time, I can't remember. Maybe he was a bishop. And they were absolved from paying any taxes. They were absolved from most laws, and they acquired so much money that the bishop in France got a little jealous, and he persecuted them, and he martyred their leader. and they went into hiding. Yeah. That's what I remember learning in school.
Well, I heard a different way, but I'm sure it could be could be anything. But I heard they just made too much money and made a business out of it, and it was, it kind of negated their original purpose. But it could be, what I don't know.
But that doesn't mean that they couldn't have resurfaced and done things differently. I'm saying in their beginning, that's how I understood that they began. Is that what you know about it, Frank?
That kind of is a little bit different than my understanding.
Oh, okay. There isn't a whole lot of material out there either.
There's now surfacing documentation in Europe that's being unearthed in tablets. And it's taken them a long time to start translating it. But out of that came King Arthur as being very, very real. And so a lot of things have come of it. Every time they excavate a place in Europe, they find more and more evidence. The Knight Templars have been all over the world at one time or another.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
It is an interesting subject. It really is. Church history interests me.
I love the archaeologists, and I especially love the archaeologists in Israel, because every time they dig up something, they're not even looking for it, and they find something that proves the authenticity of the Bible. I love that. And they're doing
one of my professors. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. One of my professors in seminary is a biblical archaeologist, and so one of his classes was the New Testament in the history of the New Testament, and it was fabulous. And the things that they unearthed, it was like, wow, that was somebody's house, And they like, these aqueducts, and he showed us how all that worked, and it's pretty interesting.
It's fascinating. I thought about going into that, but I don't think I could spend my time sitting in the sand with a toothbrush and just brushing away all the... I don't think I could do that. But I love what they ended. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that either.
Yeah, as for amassing a large quantity of gold and treasure and whatnot, and planting it under Washington or wherever it was in that movie, I don't really agree with that. But it was an interesting movie.
It's a good movie. I like the movie.
National Treasure.
Nicolas Cage.
What is it?
Is that it?
National Treasure.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
That's kind of a little far-fetched. Oh, you'll enjoy it. You'll love it.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
That's good too.
That's
I thought that was. It had some interesting. That's one Spielberg thing. I think he did pretty well in that one.
Michael, is that you?
When I was in
that
England.
Was Marcus.
Marcus? Oh, okay.
If you want to see an interesting old movie, it's Steven Spielberg's first ever movie, and it's called The Duel. So just Google The Duel, spelled the regular way, and watch it. It's really interesting.
Was that with Yul Brynner?
No.
No. Okay. Okay.
It's actually some. I think there's one well-known star in it, but it's basically just what you see. And it's simple, but it's so complex at the same time. That's Steven Spielberg. You'll love it.
Yeah. Very talented fellow.
Yep. He was 21 or 23 at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to look that one up.
Way before E.T.?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was his first movie.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay, does anybody have anything about targeting they'd like to bring up or discuss, or any questions you might have for me? Because remember, that's all I do is research. And I went on radio in one station for about 2 years, 5 nights a week. Every night was a different hour story about targeting and the weapons and the science. I stood on scientific papers whenever I did a show. So it's something you might want to look at. But if you'd like to ask a question, I may know the answer or direct you to it.
Frank, how many patents do you know of for remote neural monitoring? Because I've studied patents, and other TIs have passed them down to me. One TI had like 40 patents listed for artificial intelligence remote neural monitoring.
Did you check out
with the neuroscientists studying devices that could be implanted in people's body and track their movements, track their physiological activity. I was just wondering how many patents you've heard of that are out there that.
Well, if you go to targetedmassachusetts.org, there is a special page devoted to patents, and there are 22 of them that I collected long before 16 when the website went up. So you might want to look at the first one. I can put the link in the chat if you like.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful, because I struggled on your website downloading the templates that you posted.
They're not posted there. They will be
posted on
Yeah, I'll put them
on the link in the chat room. That'd be great. Yep. Thanks, Frank.
Sure. It's real easy. If you can't go there by phone and get anything, but if you go there by computer, at the top of the page, there's a series of links. Just click on them. They're on the top of every page except for one. Let me see. Remember, you can't get there by phone.
Well, I don't have a computer, so I'll have to wait till I go to the library.
No, I will make them available to you. I will give you, actually, the link I can text you, and you will still get them.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah. If I have to, I'll give you the link to each individual patent.
Okay.
But there are 22 of them, and unlike most patents, I spent the time to put hyperlinks in. So there are hyperlinks. When you click on a patent, it opens, and it has hyperlinks like to the inventor, hyperlinks to the citations, external links, assignments of the patents, global, dossier. They have everything is there. The first patent is a hearing system, and the abstract. Sound is induced in the head of a person by radiating the head with microwaves in the range of 100 megahertz to 10,000 megahertz, and so on. That's the first one. But yeah, there's a lot of patents out there, but those are the ones that I have collected that I thought most pertinent. There are newer ones now that need to be added, and I will be doing that. It takes a long time to add the hyperlinks, though, to everything, because there's like updates to the patents. There are many, many new things that are added. But I asked a question a long time ago, and I never really got a straight answer from anybody, and that is, why not? You guys want lawsuits? Go after the inventors. The inventors are probably rolling in money. The inventors are listed on every patent.
Well, three that ring a bell are Gerald Loeb, who implanted Richard Kane and his children in California in the late 90s.
Yeah, Mr. Kane is the one, the lawsuit.
Yeah, he had an active lawsuit, and he got the implants removed from his body, too. And so did David Larson. But those were in the 90s when implants were larger. And so now technology has doubled every 4 years. So now they have, and it's gotten smaller every couple years. I think it was every 2 years they said that technology got smaller. So now they can fit, like gigabytes onto a tiny micro SD card. For an example, they can store a lot of electrodes onto a tiny array that can't even be detected by an MRI. But there's radio frequencies coming out of these devices, and that's the only way to detect them, because I know I have implants in my body, and I know where and when and who implanted me. But the MRI equipment doesn't pick up the micro neuroprosthetic devices that were snuck in me.
Marcus,
and so, yeah.
Google the smallest computer in the world. Do that for me.
Okay.
You'll be very surprised. Okay, while he's doing that, It's this has been a really great night. I'm having a great time. I don't know about you guys, but it's a great place to share. And someone said earlier, this is the only place that you will get recognition for your targeting. Well, that's going to change too. It's going to change a lot.
Hey, Frank, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I got back a few minutes ago, and I was wondering, about the censorship that's going on, like on YouTube and some places. Like, what percentage? Yeah. I had typed it in the chat, but I don't think we have an answer for it yet. What percentage of the videos, or maybe even websites, are being censored now? Do you know? Is it like 20%?
I'm not sure what the percentage is, but if you look at Google community rights in YouTube or YouTube community rights, I'm not going to bring up the COVID-19, but that's the biggie. If you change anything as to what they call the gospel in terms of COVID-19, you will be censored right there, and that YouTube will be trashed, and you will get what the hell is it? You get a black mark or a red mark against you, and I was able to talk them out of, taking us down altogether, but we do have a red mark that's going to be there until August. So.
And then if you get a certain number of marks, then what, you go on probation or you get blocked or something?
3, you get trashed altogether, I think.
Oh, wow. That's going to be hard for a lot of people.
I'll give you an example. TruthStream Media got demonetized. They got trashed, and they put out some of the finest videos that you could watch. Unfortunately, they encompass topics that are against the GOV. That's another thing you cannot speak out against in any way, shape, or form.
Wow.
They have taken free speech, and we just don't have it anymore. It's a great way to sum it up, because journalism is stepped on. Any and all of our rights are stepped on, and I will tell you why. Because the Bill of Rights is viewed as one right. In other words, step on one, you step on them all. That's the way they are viewed. That's the way they were intended. So that you couldn't separate one right and strike it out. You would have to strike them all. And that's the way. You have to really dig into the Constitution and look at the way things were written and why. That's why the government has such a hard time canceling out. Like they've just said, I know many of you are against guns. I am one that believes that people kill, guns don't kill. But they give the guns to the wrong people. So what I'm going to say is the right to carry a concealed weapon now only goes to your front door. So you can carry your weapon around the house if you like, but they are trying to trample the right to carry. And that is the right to bear arms. So what's that? Fourth Amendment rights, correct? Or Second Amendment rights?
Which one? Second? I thought it was, yeah. Well, so there seems to be, well, okay, there is a lot of stuff out on the web. It's maybe too much. And they should, when they were offering their services like YouTube, they should say, well, here are the criteria, and if you fit and you don't fit. But it seems like it's almost arbitrary, the censorship, based on certain topics. So that's not in your agreement when you sign up to use their services, is it? Oh, you can't use these topics or else.
No, they have. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm terrible about that.
If they don't tell you that, then they're breaking their contract with you.
They have the right to change their policies at will, anytime.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Of course.
So they have made it so that COVID-19, something we need to talk about, and anybody that wants to talk about it in private, we'll just dump this recording and we'll talk about it, and that'll be in a few minutes. And I really want to discuss it with you because I discovered a video from a doctor that says how wonderful it is. And no, seriously, it's a really great thing.
He says that, really?
Yeah, kiddingly. I'm kidding.
Okay.
We can't talk about COVID-19. But when I get on the radio, I'm going to rip them up, boy. Yeah, a new station very shortly.
Okay, good.
Now, this one will be a real station, not... can you believe that Revolution Radio does not even have a call-in number?
Yeah, I was surprised when you told me that.
They still don't.
They still don't want to... I mean, maybe they're just done with listeners, They don't care about listeners.
Well, they're just done. You see, their founder died, and I have all the respect in the world for the man, but it's turned into a devotion or a big rose on the guy's grave to make a martyr out of him, and it's just crazy stuff.
Was that Nighthawk? Is that the owner?
Yep.
He passed away? I didn't know that.
He's the one that did all of the work, all the computer work, he did everything. And now 6 people can't do the work that he did.
Uh-huh.
And a couple of them...
Well, have you looked at, I think people are still using Blog Talk Radio, and you can check that out. And I think there's a free version. There's a premium version.
What is it?
It's just as one word, blogtalkradio.com.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and it's been around for a while, and there's a lot of followers. Although I don't think it's as busy as it used to be, it's still a viable place where you can upload your audio, you can broadcast, you can have call in, there's a chat room, and they actually will post. It's not private like we are, free conference call. They post it on, live now, and you can also, I think you can pay to have your piece featured on the front page. But it's a public thing. So when you're broadcasting, anybody can tune in. And I find it a little bit more complicated than using free conference call, but the exposure factor might be worth it.
Yeah, we can also stream from free conference call to a number of different places like iTunes and God, there's a whole list of different places we can stream.
You can live stream from right here? Oh.
Yes, we can.
I thought you had to upload. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let me find out. Where
you might be right. I haven't looked at it for a while.
I'll just have to find the page that it's on. I think. I'll have to check because it's something that doesn't really show up. You got to dig for it.
Yeah.
Let me see if it's right here.
I think you can do an RSS feed from your audio, but not live. I mean, it's after the podcast recorded and closed. Then the RSS feed will show up wherever you have that link posted.
Here it is, integrations. All right, Slack, Evernote, Facebook, Apple, Google, and Google Calendar. So, I don't know. These aren't biggies. Evernote is usually used to forecast an event, you know.
Okay.
Slack.
I never used that. But it's not like on, see, it would be good if you could get it on, for instance, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, what was the other one I was thinking about? iTunes, Spotify.
Okay, that's something to think about. I could use some input from you, Sue. Sometime if you want to give me a call, or I can call you.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of input? Yeah. I mean, I'm not broadcasting, so I don't really know all the technology, you know, that they use. You know.
RSS stands for Real Simple Streaming, and you know, I found on a couple of occasions there's not anything really simple about it. Unless, why, you've looked into it too, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, really all you have to, I mean, it's simple for you to do. All you do is you post the link to your audio on whichever page you want to RSS to. If somebody wants that link, they could RSS right to their desktop or something, right? They could subscribe.
Well, you can RSS to a container so that it can be viewed right from there, correct?
To a where?
A container, like a YouTube container?
Oh, you know what? You probably could.
All right.
You could. I don't know for sure. But anyway, look at Blog Talk Radio because the material that you're sharing, I think it would be appropriate. I don't know if they do any censoring, but it's worth it because they already have an established audience.
Right. Well, that's good. There's a lot of things we can do. I'd like to project this to 100% of the targeted audience and some untargeted people or non-targets so that they'll learn.
Yeah. Exactly. You want to, I mean, we don't need to be going around in circles amongst ourselves for years and years and years without spreading out.
Yeah, well, people will not form groups. They will not speak out. They will not do much of anything. And that is because some of them are so targeted, like myself, that they can't do anything, right? Well, guess what? I'm doing something. And I get my...
You're doing a lot. You do a tremendous amount.
Oh, thanks. I try. That's all you got to do is try. Mm-hmm. Anything more than that is just fantastic. But you've done a lot too, Sue. I have to have a consult, a paid consult with you sometime.
Okay.
How much is that? Oh, that's about $800. No, I know it's relatively expensive. But that's what
we'll
do.
We'll talk privately, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, to get this out to everyone, I'm going to see if I can yank a handful of strings and get it out there. But I'm waiting for the right spot to do it from. If we can do it from here, we'll do it from here, because we'll get one hell of an audience, I think, and it should be great.
But just imagine if you could get another 50 or 75 people who are non-TIs.
Exactly.
To participate and ask questions.
On Republic, we had guys calling in, regular people from Republic, regular listeners that were, listening to us. And I had one guy that was really super intelligent. He would call in and he'd come up with pros and cons on this and that, and what you guys ought to do and what you can't do. It was great. His name was Chris from Las Vegas, I think his name was. He was great.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun show, but it's too much for somebody to do 5 nights a week with no breaks.
I'm surprised. Yeah, 3 nights would have been a lot.
Yeah. Well, 3 would have been fine, I think, but, I don't like to leave the conference calls either, because I enjoy these. They're medicinal, And the radio shows, they get your adrenaline up and they get you moving, And I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But here we can just be ourselves.
Yeah, I'm in the process right now of getting the copyright to Silent Running, because I like that song. And I think it's a good song. It's a good TI song, because it's about a war between an unseen enemy that has come into the country and taken over, and about people that will rise up and take back their country. Well, that's what we're doing now.
Who does that song?
Mike and the Mechanics.
Oh, yeah, you said that.
Michael Rutherford.
Must have been a long time ago.
80s, I think.
Yeah.
But
it sounds familiar. I have to listen to it again.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to them tomorrow or the day after. But I've got so many.
Rutherford, wasn't Rutherford a drummer?
He was a singer, I know for sure. And he wrote part of it, and he worked with. Damn. I'm going to take these people out and have them blanked pretty soon. I'll tell you what, I'm really getting tired of this.
Are you talking about your perps now? Okay.
Yeah. I just got wiped out of a whole thought. And they do.
Okay.
You can see it in your head. You can see it disappear.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I did the research on the smallest computer, and it was University of Michigan beat IBM in the smallest computer. It's 0.3 millimeters by 0.3 millimeters.
That's pretty small. I think I found one smaller, but they had one that would fit on the side of a nickel, and that's now defunct. But that's pretty small.
I placed, however, that I was implanted with micro neuroprosthetics. You know what micro is? It's one step above nano, but it's one step below millimeter. It's in that field where you can't see it in the naked eye, and the transmitters, the micro neurotransmitters that they snuck in me are satellite connected to a supercomputer. So they don't really need computers in my bloodstream or my nervous system because they have transmitters that transmit data from electrodes, right? This is my theory, that you just need electrodes and sensors that stimulate and scan and map out the brain or the nervous system with the transmitter itself, but the computer is doing it externally. It's a supercomputer connected to the body through satellite. I don't know if that makes sense, but to me it does.
It sounds like the tattoos with the ink that transmits your body signals to a satellite.
Well, satellites have the most amazing radio telemetry properties because old traditional radio telemetry would only go about a mile, and you need a huge battery pack and a big antenna sticking out of it to record movements of, like, say, wildlife, to track animal movements. You know, like they put a collar on a bear or they put a collar on a bird, and they can track their movements within a mile. But with satellite, they can track their movements all around the world. So kind of starts the springing of my understanding of electronic communication transmissions.
Well, what about those, like when you see them for the nature, have you ever seen those in the National Geographic where they'll be doing a documentary on a certain animal, primate, or whatever, birds, and they'll have a mechanical primate.
Yeah, they got big transmitters. That's why they discredit TIs, because they say that the transmitters can't get that small. But the transmitters can get really small. And the battery pack, instead of these big battery packs that they put on wildlife to track their movements, like in the case of a TI, I keep getting stuck on that word, targeted individual, but they put microscopic sized devices that send radio frequencies and receive radio frequencies, and you can't see it with the naked eye. And this
Isn't that what's in chemtrails?
No, not chemtrails. Not in my case. No, not for me. It was something. It was unethical scientists stuck implants in my body.
All right, who's building a house?
I'm sorry, it's me.
All right, that's all right.
Unethical scientists make a lot of money somehow. They have, like, neuroscience, which pays a lot of money. That's where the bucks are in the field of neuroscience. That's where a lot of money is being divulged and brought about in secretive ways. And they have power brokers too, billionaires that could afford to splurge a little bit of money, because some of the 1%ers or the 0.1%ers are psychopaths, and they're billionaires, and they're like getting away with secret studies on human beings with super secret advanced technologies.
Hey, you ever thought about getting a portable ultrasound just to scan your body to see if you have any type of chips and stuff in there? For you?
No, I thought of a special analyzer that could detect radio frequencies emitting from my body.
I thought about going to the local pet place, the local animal rescue, because they have those little scanners, when they rescue a pet to see if it's been chipped.
Yeah.
And asking them if they'd scan me.
They can. I mean, those things are made, to scan any type of body tissue. So, I mean, you can buy them now. They're only like anywhere between $800 to $1,000. I know we don't have that kind of money, but you might get lucky and find maybe, like you said, a vet place or maybe a hospital or maybe a private office that has some old ones sitting around that they don't use anymore that still work, or maybe a couple $100 or less, or they might even donate it to you. Because my friend told me about this a few years ago, and I didn't really think about it too much, and he reminded me and goes, hey, I have a friend that became a nurse, and they had a few scanners because they got some new ones that came in. And if you want, I can give it to you so you can use it for a while just to scan your body to see if you're chipped or not. And I go, well, how accurate is it? He goes, trust me, if you have any type of wooden splinter, metal splinter, or anything like that in your skin, or inside or underneath your third layer of skin by muscle tissue, he goes, it will show it, because when you run the scanner, that little device over your skin, it goes all the way to your bone, and it sees the difference between your muscle, your other tissue. He goes, if you set it up a certain way, you can see your ligaments too. And if you have a certain other type of program that you know how to reprogram the software, you can pretty much almost get it to where it can dial in where you can see your vein and not your tissue.
How you doing, Johnny?
I'm doing all right, man. How about yourself, Frank?
Okay, it sure is good to hear from you.
Yeah. Hold on, let me get done. Yeah. Well, going back to the subject, that's a good way for us because to have and scan your own self, but you do have to get that gel that goes over, because that's one of the main things that gets it to work properly. Because I've heard a lot of these stories going to doctors or going to different nurses or going to different places that do ultrasound or MRIs, and you've gotten back or you can't get your actual documents to show to have for yourself. So I'm just saying, hey, this is another way of approaching this, and they do work. But the thing is, if you do get one, don't have a regular a tablet or a cell phone. Don't use anything like that. This has to be another type of tablet that's for the ultrasound device. And if you can, make sure that the Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth is turned off, and it's a type that plugs into the screen, so that way it's not being interrupted with anything or cannot be hacked when you're actually going and scanning your body. Hello, Frank?
Yes, sir.
How you been?
I've been getting beat up pretty good.
Yeah, same here. This year, they increased it, and it's sometimes really bad and sometimes not. But in the beginning of the year, it was pretty bad.
I'm winning now, though.
Well, are you staying healthy?
Yeah, I'm staying healthy, but I contacted my attorney, and he's going to send a cease and desist order, and I have to contact what's called a skip tracer, and the skip tracer finds them, and so that's the first step. I could go through the skip tracer for my attorney probably, but I imagine it would be a lot more money because they always have to add on, you know.
Yeah, anything that they do, they usually have to charge, especially if it's a new project that they have to go into to develop more evidence for your case.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
But the stalking's not too bad this year, but it got kind of weird. You know, a lot of out-of-state plates. But I'm always down at the beach, so there's a lot of visitors. But I can kind of tell if they're visitors or not, because usually if it's just people coming to visit and they're hanging out with their friends or not, or their relatives or family or whatever, you know, they're doing what tourists do. They're not really doing what stalkers would do. And I had an encounter with a few of them, and I approached them, and you know, they try to play it off like they're not doing anything wrong. But when they do follow you to a residential neighborhood, you can kind of go, well, you don't belong around here, dude, because I grew up around here and I know the people that live around here, you know. So, but besides all that, I think I've gotten my car broken into once, and that was up by the courthouse. And that's about it, I think. Oh, yeah, besides my storage unit, I think somebody did go in there again. I'm not sure. You know.
Did they get anything out of your storage unit that was valuable, or?
No, they did move some stuff, but they took a hammock, a brand new hammock that I just got. You know.
Oh, you were talking about that. How much you loved that.
Yeah, it actually works, but I haven't been doing it for a while because I'm not too sure. There's like a whole new breed of stalkers. And from the way they look, they don't intimidate me, but I can tell they're the type that would hurt somebody if they get the chance to do it. You know, if they can physically put on a mask and walk up behind you and sneak up on you and hurt you, they would do it. So, you know, I was talking to one of my friends. He goes, you know, just be safe. And he goes, since you got a vehicle, stay in your vehicle to the best you can. He goes, I know that they attack you, and it's hard for you to stay inside of an enclosed area. But he goes, you know, you can only do so much to protect yourself. And if you're inside of a car, they're going to have to work on it. But, yeah, the hammock ended up missing. And, you know, I was talking to my other friend about that. And believe it or not, he's an ex-police officer. And he was telling me, he goes, hey, you know, sometimes people, you know, criminals, they'll take evidence, they'll take something of yours, and they'll go do a crime and plant whatever it is of yours there to make it look like if you were there doing the crime.
They tried that very beginning on me. All right,
yeah.
Let me do something right now. This is Targeted Massachusetts Northeast Conference, signing off at 1:02 a.m. Eastern. Thank you, God bless, and good night.